What's up? This is GrindWorks Podcast 5, and I just crashed into the table and I watched the camera wiggle around, so that was a sweet start.
Perfect.
Sitting here with Jesse Herzog. Did I say that right?
Yep, that's right.
I wasn't sure, but it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Jesse and I know each other through riding, but other than that, we really don't know too much about each other.
Yeah, I think I've only rode with you a handful of times. It's usually just been kind of at the wheel mill and stuff
yeah,
like that.
maybe once or twice out at Imperial.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jesse lives about an hour away from where I'm at. It's not that it's terrible, but there's enough parks in the area and stuff to ride all around Pittsburgh that there's no need to go that far.
Yeah.
So, we know each other. I would say we're friends, but we really don't know each other that well.
Yeah, I think we're I've always been stoked with the whole GrindWorks thing. That's always been it always kind of hyped me up, So every time I see you guys posting doing jams and stuff, that's kind of what I wanted to always do. I always kind of wanted to have my own little crew and scene, So seeing you guys do it always got me pumped up,
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, you've got your own crew too, though. You've got your All Things Shred crew, which it seems like it's pretty interdisciplinary as far as you're not just BMX.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the board. When I first started it, the goal was I wanted to make a website where I could post everybody's content, not just BMX, not just skateboarding, because all my friends kind of did their own thing. So everybody was like, "Oh, well, if you're gonna do it, you think you could put my dirt bike racing videos on or my snowboarding videos on?" And I was just yeah, I was gonna try to incorporate everybody in, But it just got a little bit too out of hand there for a little while, and I feel most of my friends were just BMX riders, so I felt bad because I would be out riding BMX, filming something with them guys, and somebody would be like, "Hey, we're going skiing this weekend. Can you come get us at Seven Springs?" And I'm like, "Oh man, I would, but."
I kind of don't really have that much interest in it. And it's if you're providing the content, then I'll post it up all day. But if I gotta go out of my way to do this filming project for you and I'm not stoked on it, it's one, not gonna turn out well, and two, just gonna take you a long time to get back to it because you're gonna go out and film it, not be stoked.
So then you're
come
not
home
pumped
and you're gonna be ugh, not looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
Find any reason to avoid doing it at all.
Yeah.
And it'll be a month later that you might put out a crappy quick edit.
And everybody's bugging you about it too. Everybody wants, when are you gonna put it up? When are you gonna put it up?
Yeah, and it's dude, I'm stoked to post it all.
Yeah.
But you gotta do the work.
Yeah.
You gotta at least.
If you do the filming, at least get it to me, and then I'll edit it out. I don't want to do the whole thing. Which, when I first started, it was me and 3 people, and the one kid was strictly into cameras, so he just wanted to film, which was so awesome because he was just stoked that he had something to do and to come and hang out with all of us, and we were stoked that we had somebody that would come, film, hang out with us.
Wanted to do that.
He was just and he was a really good editor too. We both kind of split up the editing, but I would say 90% of it was him with the editing. I was kind of providing him the people that could get him the content with me and all my friends. And then he would be like, "Hey, what do you like about this? Do I need it? Do you want it to be with this kind of music?" Kind of set the vibe of the edits and stuff, He would come to me for that, but he was an extraordinary editor. He was really good stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was cool. We had some stuff on, I think, Can You Dig It? When we went to the Welcome Jam and filmed that, and it was there was only one other edit besides ours, so, it got a pretty good amount of coverage, which was pretty cool. I was pretty stoked on that. But
yeah, that's cool. When that stuff works out, it feels good.
Yeah.
When did you start doing that, though? Because, as far as I can remember, I've always seen ATS coming up, popping around a little bit. I only moved to the area in 2014.
Okay.
Like mid 2014.
That's about when it all started. I was a senior in high school, and I took a TV imagery class.
Okay.
So I was with people that also liked all that stuff,
Yeah.
And I had probably 5 or 6 good friends that rode BMX, and we just kind of got together and was like, I was always the guy that wanted to make the edits. Like, my friends could really care less if they ever had any exposure or if they ever had a video of them ever online. But I always thought that stuff was cool, so I was like, let's make edits, let's put our stuff online. So I'd say probably senior years when I started doing that, which would have been 2014, like halfway through the year, like December, January, or beginning of the year.
Okay.
And at first we really didn't have anything because the wheel mill was just starting to like become a thing, so we weren't really going there as much.
Yeah.
So we kind of had to wait for the weather to get good.
Did you still have? I know there was like B Cubed, and there were some other indoor parks around, but I don't know when they closed relative to the wheel mill's opening.
B Cubed was a little bit before my time, so I think B Cubed had closed in 2010.
Okay.
And I didn't start driving till 2012, so I never really got to experience B Cubed. All my like friends from my neighborhood that were a little bit older than me, they had all got to ride there because they all skated or rode BMX. But I was always kind of like the outcast on that deal. I didn't get to go.
Never got to go on the fun little road.
I never got to hang out with the older kids and go on the fun road trips and stuff. So I kind of got screwed out of the whole B Cubed.
Yeah.
Scene.
Well, I never got to ride there or anything either. I had taken a lot of trips to Pittsburgh in the past.
Okay.
Here and there with a couple of friends. Never really thought that I would be moving here. It was never
like
in my plan. I never considered it. But through various opportunities, here I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, in any of those trips, we never
hit up B Cubed.
Rode a lot of like Boyce,
okay.
Sheridan a lot. Did some stuff like that. Never went to B Cubed.
Yeah.
Got a session hooked up at Pipes at one point, so we got to ride there.
Where was that place at?
It was in Export.
Wasn't it kind of just a rollerblading and skateboarding
it was
place?
No bikes. But we did get a session hooked up there.
What was that place like? Was it like pretty sweet?
It was okay. It was a weird layout. They had 2.5 bowls.
Okay.
And they were connected by spines.
Oh, that's pretty neat. So you could like kind of like do the peg stuff in, go on the other side.
I mean, the only time I was there was to ride, and they were like, it was kind of a private affair. It was after hours. They let us in, and then they're like, no pegs, don't grind that. And you're just like,
at that point, you're like, oh well. Kind of like destroys the whole ordeal. Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't even like us riding in the bowl.
Yeah.
And like whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was one weird bowl, another long weird bowl, and then the other spine out went to like a 3/4 bowl.
Okay.
With one open side that flowed out to a cool hip, and then like a pyramid on the other side of the park.
Okay, so there wasn't like too many like ledges or like.
There were ledges over the pyramid.
Okay.
But that was really it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not. Well, there was a whole outdoor section that I didn't ride.
Really? I didn't even know. I thought it was just inside.
It was outside, quote unquote.
Okay.
It didn't have walls on it, but it was covered.
Okay. Gotcha. So it's kind of like a pool building in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
But, I mean, it was cool looking, but yeah, we didn't end up riding outside there.
Yeah. Have you ever rode anywhere up north? Like, have you ever rode like any of the towns like Beaver Falls, Rochester, Aliquippa, Ambridge, anywhere up in there?
Like up northern.
Like up the Ohio River, like kind of like where I'm at ish.
No. Not really.
Which it's so crazy to me because the skate scene is so big.
Like Butler, but
okay. I've actually never rode Butler, and I'm actually decently close to Butler.
Butler has a pretty fun, haggard, sketchy park.
I think I seen Josh. What's his last name? I was for.
Geyer.
Yeah, he rips that place.
Yeah,
I always see him riding it. But other than that, I don't think I see anybody else go there.
The scene up there is a little bit odd. Like you show up to the park and there's 10 or 12 people all there.
Yeah, like hardcore
but they're
locals.
all just sitting on the bench, not riding or skating.
Okay. So it's just kind of like a hangout spot.
It's just a hangout spot.
Yeah.
And then like occasionally someone will ride.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of like not my scene. I feel like that's a bummer to me. If I show up somewhere and everyone's just sitting around,
just kind of chilling and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I don't care if you're like hanging out and I don't know.
But if there's like nobody there to like actually push each other,
it's just a weird vibe, and that's all I can say about it.
Yeah. It's always good whenever you have like a bunch of your buddies go with you. If you can get like 5 or 6 people at a skate park together and you just start messing around, start telling each other, hey, why don't you try that, you know? Yeah. I think that's whenever things start to like happen.
But I like going out there and riding with Josh occasionally. Yeah. I like riding with Josh in general, but
yeah. I've actually never even got to ride with him yet, I don't think. But
he's sometimes he's elusive.
Yeah, I think I've seen him ride at the wheel mill once or twice. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much the only place I ride in the winter.
Yeah.
I don't really hit up anywhere else besides maybe Ray's once or twice a year.
Yeah, well, it's funny because you're pretty close to Wedgwood, too.
Yeah, decently close. And I've only been there once to ride.
They just tore a bunch of stuff out. They've been posting it on their Instagram and changed some stuff up. It looks pretty cool.
Anthony Poleni, I think that's how you say his name. He occasionally rides my local. So like I kind of met him a few years back from there. Yeah. And he's always been like pretty cool like with us. So last time I went to Wedgwood, he wasn't there, but like a lot of the people he rides with was out there. And that seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
A lot of them dudes are like super legit out there.
Yeah.
But like you said, they had everything torn down when I went, so it was kind of like hard to ride everything. They just torn out that spine bowl, and I was like real excited to ride that.
Yeah.
And it was gone, so I was like super bummed out.
It wasn't that good. It had just a couple of things weird about it. And at that point, that's all you noticed when you rode it was like
the little imperfections on it.
Yeah, and like it's hard to not just notice that.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of bummed on it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I always had fun when I was out there, but the spine was not what I went there to ride.
Yeah.
I actually just ignored it after the first time I rode it.
Did you just ride like that like section on the side with like the I think it's got the plastic jersey barrier and the Euro? I think there's a couple.
A little bit. There was a lot more movable stuff at one point. Now they've kind of adjusted a lot of stuff. So you were probably there next to the by the vert wall.
Okay.
There was a bunch of like pyramids and up down across ledges.
I think so.
They pulled that pyramid out and moved it over on the wall where the 3-sided pyramid was.
Okay.
And then built another box jump in there. But
so whenever you go from the vert wall, it's like that. Is it that step down box jump? I think it's kind of like a step down.
Yeah, maybe? Yeah. But now they just gutted some of that and built like a short and long box with a wall ride on top of it, and it looks cool.
Yeah, I would go out there more. It's just kind of a weird way for me to get out there. Like I can't just like hop on a highway and go out there. It's almost like I got to take back roads the whole way there, and it's usually just
unless you want to take the turnpike.
Yeah, and for me that's kind of like I have to like backtrack. Hit the turnpike and then go. So it ends up being like just as the same amount of time, you know?
Yeah.
But I usually don't try to take the turnpike unless I have to go out that way.
I'm always psyched on like they're open really late. I think they're open till midnight every night.
Okay.
But I can't stay out there till midnight.
Yeah,
I won't get
and it comes all the way back to Monroeville.
I won't get home until 1:15, 1:30, and that doesn't include like when you stop and grab a snack on the way and you
grab
gas
some food and all that good stuff. All
of a sudden it's 2:00 when you're rolling in and you're like,
yeah. I've always like thought it would have been cool if I could have at least made my own little DIY spot or something that people could ride, because the scene up north, at least in my part, it's like dead. If I go to the skate park, I'm the only BMX rider there. If I'm riding around town, very rarely will I see anybody else hitting up like some of the street spots, you know.
Yeah.
So, and it sucks because like whenever I was really pounding, like when I was really like grinding away with the all things shred stuff, it was starting to come around, which was cool for me because I was like, I felt like I was like accomplishing what I wanted to do, which was show everybody how cool riding BMX is, you know? And I would show up at the skate parks and people would recognize like me and my friends from that and be like, hey, like, when are you guys going to be riding next?
Yeah.
And like, you know, like just all the local kids were like getting real pumped off of it.
Yeah.
And in the past 2 years, it's just kind of like went downhill.
Well, you reach a point where like you've done a lot, and then you're like, all right, cool, I'm just gonna coast for a minute, or something comes up and you need to take a break.
Yeah.
And it's real hard to put the momentum back into it.
Yeah. That's kind of how it was, man. Like my best friend Jake got hurt pretty bad at Imperial. He cracked his skull, and at first I was not even in the park yet. I was getting my pads put on, and when I went in, they were all like, hey man, Jake hit his head pretty bad, like we don't know like what's going on. And I looked at him and he's not the type of guy that'd be like, oh my head hurts, all, you know, he's kind of like pretty laid back. And I was like, are you all right? And he was like, yeah, I think so. Well, about 5 minutes in, he's like, I can't hear out of my right ear. And we were like, well then we need to go to the hospital. As soon as we get there, he was bleeding out of his eardrum, and they took him back, and his parents got there by this time. And they came over to me and was like, hey, can you take his truck home? Because they're taking him to Pittsburgh, like, immediately. Because he's got, like, a brain bleed. So, after that, he just, like, didn't want to ride anymore, which I understand. Because, like, it kind of, like, toyed with him a little bit, you know? So, like, I lost him riding. And then 2 of my other friends blew their ACLs out pretty bad.
Yeah,
so,
been there.
So, like...
Mine's still connected, but it's torn.
Yeah. And with them losing their ACLs and not being able to like ride, it pretty much, like, my one buddy, he rides mountain bikes now, so me and him will still get out on like the slope style bikes and go to like Seven Springs and stuff, but it's not the same for me, you know. BMX is the only thing that I've ever really been into. Yeah,
I've had some fun getting out and riding mountain bikes, but I've always felt like it's almost backwards for the way society perceives BMX and society perceives mountain biking. Because BMX to me is all about precision, repeatability, and control. Yeah. You want to be able to do the same thing the same way over and over and over again. Yeah. And mountain biking is only fun if you're almost dying.
Yep. It's like
you have to have almost just clipped a tree before you're like, haha. Yep. I don't know, man. Like, it's kind of not my scene.
Yeah. It's almost like you can go so big on a mountain bike that it doesn't look big. Like, something that looks big on a BMX bike, if you do it on a mountain bike, you have that little bit of leeway. So, like, if you land something and there's a curb and you don't get your BMX bike over that curb and you're flying, it's going to buck you right off of it. Like you said, you have to be perfect. And on the mountain bike, if you were riding like a DJ in the streets or something, you have that little bit of leeway with everything. Like, you can case something a little bit harder. You can roll over something easy. But on a BMX bike, if you're not perfect, it's going to, like, come back to bite you, like, so quick.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's, like, it's not fun to ride BMX all sloppy. Yeah. And it's not fun to ride mountain bike fully controlled, which I don't really know why that's the case.
Yeah.
But I think it's because the bike's not that fun to ride.
Yeah. It's, like, I like it to a certain point. Like, we just went to Snowshoe, West Virginia, over the summertime, and the stuff there was way bigger than I'd ever hit before. So a lot of those guys were like towing me into it. So, like, for me, that was fun. Like, trying to follow somebody through this like super gnarly line and jumping down these giant drops. Yeah. But to just go out and pedal around as much, I like it here and there, but I don't think I could do it all the time. Like a lot of my friends do. But
I bought my mountain bike just to go out and like ride along the river trail type stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And I hesitated highly at this decision, but I was like, I'm just gonna buy a base level complete mountain bike.
Yeah.
And just ride the river trail with it. And as soon as I bring it home, my buddies are like, "Oh, you got a mountain bike now? Let's go to the park."
Trying to get you instantly.
All right. Yeah. I just totally wasted the thing. And then my buddy that worked at the shop, before I moved down here, warrantied every single part on it for me. Oh, that's awesome. And it's pretty much all brand new, but it's still junk. So, like, I've got it. It's probably in the background of the shop, but since then I've just ridden it on the river trail. I've never gone mountain biking since I've had it down here. And the cranks are twisted again. Like, everything is shot.
Everything's just like totally blowed out.
I think the bars are bent down.
No, there was a few guys at Brady's Run, which is like probably 20 minutes north from me.
Okay.
There's this like scene of mountain bikers that is like bigger than the BMX scene. Like, those guys, like, they go pretty hard. And they would call me all the time because, like, I'll go out there probably 2 or 3 times a summer. Mm-hmm. They have a couple lines built out there that are pretty fun. Like, they, the park's pretty lenient on what they let them build because nobody really patrols it as much, I'd say. So there's some, like, pretty good, gnarly stuff back there to ride on mountain bikes that, like, not too many people know about. Them guys would come to me all the time and be like, "Hey, do you want to come help us? Do you guys want to come help us dig and stuff?" And I would love to go out and help them dig, but like I only go out once a year, and it's not really like my forte to like mountain bike like all the time, you know. So it's kind of hard to like balance it out because like pretty much the only thing I want to do day in and day out is ride my BMX bike. So to go out every now and then, I'll go out and help somebody like cut a berm in or something, but to be out there, like, it's like I would get a phone call like every other day for the longest time, you know, and I just can't, you know, make it out there. Feel bad, but you know how that goes.
Yeah, before I moved down here, I was getting into it enough that we were going out once a week or so. I lived about, like, less than 10 minutes away from the mountain bike trails, though.
Okay.
So
where are those? What? Up in
Jones Park in Vestal, New York.
Okay.
But we'd go out there for like an 8 o'clock in the morning ride.
Yeah.
Go up to the top, ride down, maybe loop back up to like midway up the hill where the actual fun spot is.
Yeah.
Run back down again and then leave, and it'd be 10 o'clock, and then we'd go down to the skate park and ride BMX the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So it was never a full adventure for us. It was me and my BMX buddies that were going mountain biking. I wasn't like in it for the long haul with a crew of mountain bike dudes.
Yeah. See, because like I feel like there's just so many different types of riding you can do on a BMX bike, and it's almost like the sky's the limit. And I feel like for the most part with the mountain biking stuff, you ride one really good mountain bike trail and you've pretty much rid all of them, in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, they just get more and more, like, sketchy, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
You know, if you've ridden really good trails, you're kind of lucky.
Yeah.
We went to some place outside of State College. And, again, we were there for a skate park, but we took our mountain bikes on the trip. Because we knew there were some mountain bike trails.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, boulders sticking out of the ground and kind of sharp ones.
Yeah.
All the way down this mountain. And I'm on, like, a hardtail with junk forks. Yeah. And my buddy's on a dirt jumper. And we are not set up for this downhill course that we're on.
Yeah.
I mean, we rode probably 20, 25 minutes uphill before we encountered any trails or people from, like, the parking area.
Yeah.
And it was on a dirt road. And someone pulls up behind us. And they're like, "You guys must be new here. We shuttle here?"
So you don't have to walk.
Yeah. So
everybody's just laughing. Like,
Steve drove us all the way up to the top.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's like, "Oh, yeah, you know, I'll get ready and then you guys can follow me down." Well, he was putting on all of his ballistic gear for his downhill run that he's about to do.
Yeah.
And, like, I had my half-shell helmet on. My buddy didn't have a helmet on at all.
Just sending it with no helmet down this gnarly downhill trail. Probably looking, see, everybody's probably looking at him, so funny.
Yeah, like, you're an idiot. And, I mean, we knew we were in over our head when the dude started, like, gearing up.
Yeah, like, you start seeing guys, like,
well, and, like, you saw a bunch of people riding around, and he just kept driving past those spots. So, like, he was going up to the real run, not, like, the trails.
Yeah. Yeah, we, whenever I rode Brady's the first time, my buddy had talked me into getting it was a hardtail GT. It was kind of like a dirt jumper. And he was like, oh, just buy one, try it out. Like, if you don't like it, you can always sell it. And I was like, yeah, all right. Because he would race the downhill series at, like, Seven Springs and, like, all the local races and that. So
he's in the scope of bikes that are, like, the cost of a car.
Exactly. So he was like, if you like it and you think you can handle it, then go ahead and, we'll see if we can find you another bike that can handle, like, all the, like, gnarly stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that the weirdest thing I've found with, like, BMX riders is that we can take any bike and ride it anywhere. And I feel like a lot of the mountain bike guys, they need a certain bike. They always say they need a certain bike or a certain setup for everything. And I was riding my dirt jumper down the downhill trails. I mean, sure, it was not the smoothest ride, but it was doable.
It's rough, and your margin of error is minimal.
Yeah.
And
I used to go out, well, we still go out to this, we go out to Dirt Fest every year. Okay. It's in Altoona. And the first year I went there, I went on my single speed down slope style bike. And everybody was looking at me like I was crazy. Because it's kind of like one of those runs where you go downhill for a good bit, and then the rest of it's uphill for like 3 miles. So here I am on this single speed, trudging through everything.
Yeah, but that's what we're used to.
Exactly.
I mean, we could go out and ride around the city for hours and do a single speed hill climb because it's Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're going to just do it on purpose just to ride up this hill, just to ride up the hill.
Yeah.
But we could.
Yeah.
Or, like, I know there was some dude this year doing that Dirty Dozen hill climb on one of those city bikes.
Yeah. And by the way, that thing looks fun. I think I'm going to do that next year because I have a cheap road bike. And I guess everybody, like, loves doing that because everybody, like, shows out and hollers and screams for all their buddies and all that.
It's tough, but if you fail, like, okay, so what? Come back next year.
Yeah. And I don't think anybody even cares. I think it's like, it just adds to the fun of it.
It's just a challenge, yeah.
If you go up the hill and you eat crap and you fall the whole way down, everybody's going to be like, oh, dude, that was awesome, Like,
yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I couldn't believe those clips of the dude doing it on the city bike.
And I think there was more than one guy doing it.
Probably. Too. It's probably just
I think there was like a couple
that was really killing it.
There was a couple people, I think, that did that. But how did you end up getting into because I know, like, you guys are, like, mostly street guys. How did you get into the whole street scene so much opposed to, like, anything else?
So I actually started out riding trails.
Really?
For years.
Before the whole street?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with my grandma's house was on the edge of the town trails.
Uh-huh.
So her property bordered the woods that the trails were in.
So it was just kind of easy access to go.
So, I mean, I kind of grew up with it. I guess that's really the only way I can say that. I grew up with it. I knew all the people down there. It was all that neighborhood, basically.
Yeah.
And then, as we carried on with, building the trails, they were getting better, getting, more fun, a little more flow. When I started going down there, they were more or less bumps in the woods.
Yeah.
On the top of a hill, it was just a single fly out. You'd see how far you could jump.
Yeah.
And, then we started making doubles, and then, like, I'd be building one side and someone else would be building another, and you're like, why are these jumps going two different opposite ways? Like, why don't we flip one?
Yeah.
let's build a rhythm.
Let's make it like so you can actually flow it instead of it's a giant dirt
at some
flat.
point we had converted the entire place to be one long line that you could basically cut in and out of any jumper and hit anything individually.
Okay.
Or hit the whole line.
So if you wanted to like take it piece by piece, you could.
Yeah, you could learn spots of it.
Yeah.
So it was cool. And then as I was getting out of, like, I was, starting to ride street. I don't really know when. It was once I was in, late middle school to high school.
Yeah.
Was more or less when I started riding street. I started riding down in those trails, what I would call regularly when I was in the end of 4th grade, early 5th grade.
Okay.
So I was still in elementary school and I was getting into riding and started racing too.
Oh, nice.
Then never really caught into the racing thing that much.
Yeah.
Kind of hated it actually. Only did that for about a year. Went back to riding the trails a lot. Probably just got better at riding trails and then was riding street more and more with my friends because like the trails were only a 5-minute bike ride from the like main drag of our town. And there was a bunch of fun stuff there. There still is a bunch of fun stuff there.
Yeah.
So when we would go down there, we'd ride trails in the morning, go down and ride street after it started getting dark.
Yeah.
And it would be an all-day adventure. And then back to my grandma's house and bum a ride up to my parents' house from there. Even though it was only like 20 more minutes of a bike ride and I've ridden all day. And looking back, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I just ride home.
Yeah.
But there were some other sets of trails up there too. So we would go from one town to the next and they all had good trails.
Yeah.
I think there were 4 or 5 good sets of trails at one point up there.
So you could just kind of like bounce around, take your pick on what you wanted to go ride.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Now there might be like 1.5 good sets of trails.
I was always bummed because we never really had a really good set of trails. And I feel like I was always on the tail end of all the good things that were happening BMX-wise, like with our scene. Because I wouldn't say I started like really riding till I was probably about 12 or 13.
Mm-hmm.
And my neighbors were all older than me, and they all rode. My one buddy's dad had like a little tractor, and he had like a little bit, like 2-acre lot in the back of his house. And he would build like tabletops, little tiny like gaps and stuff. And I would try to like do what they were doing, and like every time they would build a jump, there was like a gap way too big for me, and I would totally eat crap, and then I would be like burn out on the whole dirt jumping thing. So like my buddies over at the middle school, which was only probably like a 5-minute ride from my house, they had these like flyouts, and that's all they were. They were like these guys that had taken their dirt bikes, ripped it up a hillside, and there was just like a little tiny path. And I think that's honestly where I like learned how to do like 90% of my tricks I still do now.
Yeah.
And that's like it.
I feel like I haven't pretty much the same.
I feel like I've done the same tricks for the past 10 years, just on a bigger scale maybe. Like, okay, I learned how to bar spin there out of a fly out basically. So then I took it to like, a box jump at the wheel mill. Or something a little bit bigger than
You just added structure.
Yeah. And I think I didn't really get to ride that many skate parks. So I was kind of like lagging behind. By the time I'd got my license, everywhere we showed up at, you could tell the people that had a local skate park. Because my parents weren't going to drive me 25, 30 minutes to our local all the time, because I think they thought it was more of a fad or a phase that I was going through. Yeah. And they thought, okay, well, when he gets a dirt bike or when he gets a car, he'll stop. He'll like get out of it.
I think my parents still think that.
And how long have you been riding now?
I mean, 5th grade, I would have been probably like 10. And I'm 30. Gonna be 31 in a month.
So like a good 20 years of denial, thinking that you're just gonna like eventually
it's
leave.
Only a 20-year fad. It's cool.
Yeah. No, I think my parents know now that like it's embedded in me now. So,
yeah.
You know, they don't bug me about it as much anymore. But yeah, so we had like 2 sets of trails, and they were both kind of janky. Like, looking back on it now, I can't believe anybody died there, because they were like super long gaps, really steep lips, but they weren't that tall. So they would shoot you super high at a high rate of speed, and if you cased them, you were gonna die.
Yeah.
It was like that kind of setup. And there was a set of trails in Beaver, which are still kind of there, but they're mainly just mounds of dirt at this point.
Yeah.
And then we had found out there was a kid in my neighborhood who was kind of like a BMX legend to us, because he had like actually rode like everywhere. Like, he could, to us back in the day, like if somebody could backflip or flare or bar spin, that was like you were a professional in my eyes, you know?
Yeah.
And he would show up and ride with us occasionally, like, because he knew that my neighbors had a couple dirt jumps, and he was kind of elusive. Like, sometimes he would show up, awe everybody there, and then you'd never see him for another year or two.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I started All Things Shred, he had kind of found out through like word of mouth that I was like doing it, and I was still riding, and he kind of hit me up and was like, "Hey man, do you want to ride sometime? Like, I haven't rode in years, but do you want to ride?" And I was like, "Yeah." And we went to the wheel mill, and it was like you never like skip the beat, you know, like just one of those guys that like can get like leave for 10 years, come back, and still be doing.
Right. Versus like the occasional time that you take a week off and you're like, I can't ride a bike anymore.
Exactly. And he was like pretty much the guy like pushed me to get back onto the progression again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for the most part, like growing up, all I had was the flyouts at the middle school, a couple tabletops at home, and then I think what really saved my BMX riding was whenever I got my license and I could go to Brady's Run, Imperial, and then when the wheel mill opened.
Yeah,
that was a big, humongous thing.
Super solid then, because now you got year round.
Yep. Because I'm one of those guys, if I would take a month off of riding, I would be so screwed. My consistency, I have to ride all the time to stay where I'm at, you know?
Yeah.
And whenever we would go to Ray's twice a year and that was it, summertime would hit and I could like barely 180 or I could barely fakie down the street, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, man, like this sucks. And the wheel mill saved like all that completely for me. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. You see, I'm like the same way though with like those flyout trails, and then we had the trails, and then I would say right after high school when I was in college, all my other buddies had kind of stopped hanging out at the trail, so there's a whole new generation of kids that weren't super motivated to learn how to ride the trails. Because they were not big trails.
Yeah, like nothing special.
Like, they'd be the joke trails of any town.
Okay.
But they were super fun. Because they were just long and low. Nothing super steep. Like, you could coast in from the road and do the entire run. And that was how they were.
That's like...
So, like, you didn't have to do anything. You could just jump them.
Yeah.
Go down there all day long. It's so fun. And then, like, right after that, when it was a whole new generation, and I'm in college, like, I stayed in town, but I didn't have, like, every night to go hang out down there and work and ride.
Yeah.
And I'd go down there on the weekend, and the entire set would be, like, cut off 1.5 feet off the top of every jump and turned into a sketchy, like, 2 to 6 inch wide tabletop.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's going on? So you'd spend the entire weekend rebuilding your set.
Just for it to be.
And then come back the next weekend and it was just leveled again, and I just totally gave up on it. I'm like, I don't need this. You know, I'm perfectly happy going to the skate park or going to ride street, so why am I adding this headache to my life?
Yeah.
So I just stopped riding trails.
Yeah. The Beaver spot that we had, it's a shame because it's the most perfect spot for trails. Nobody really goes back there to hang out. It's kind of like off the beaten path. It's nice and flat. It's right next to a creek, so you can get all the water you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that it's been there. It's like a staple in that town. It's been there for so long, and it's right next to like a set of softball fields. So like all these like young kids know about it, and it's kind of like a middle school or high school hangout down there. I've always wanted to build a giant set down there, but I just know that if I did, I'd be so mad if I spent so much time, so much effort on that.
For it to just get trampled on?
For it to be someplace where kids go and smoke cigarettes and cut big holes into the side of the lips and stuff, you know, like. So I always kind of scratched that idea, but and like the scene for the street there is pretty good too, because it's one of the only towns around that's more flat. So 2 of my good friends started a skate shop there.
Okay.
And they've skated the crap out of that town, and there's always like something going on. And they're like core skateboarders, so they're really into like no skate parks, just ride street. And they do some of the coolest stuff on like the most little setups that you wouldn't think that anybody could do stuff on.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll wall ride this to manual to, you know, just like a nose bonk out off a curb, you know, like just like little jibby tic-tacky stuff like that. And like you watch it and I'm like, man, like that's like super sick, because like this spot looks like it's like nothing, but you turned it into like the coolest like thing. So like I always try to like kind of emulate what like those guys would do, because my street riding, I could never ride like big stuff. Like I was never gonna huck a 360 down a 12 stair or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I always liked finding transition in the streets, like banks, ledges, anything like that, little like rails, like anything that I could grind that wasn't over my like bar height was like a-okay in my book.
Yeah.
You know, which is weird because when I ride transition, it's like totally different. I feel like I'm more balls to the wall when I'm hitting like box jumps and quarter pipes.
Yeah.
But in the streets, I'm more like kind of like laid back.
I feel like
jibby.
It's the same thing of, you know, you can roll up to a skate park and hit every handrail in a skate park, and then you'll go out and ride street in the same exact rail. You're like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like sketchy. It's weird.
I don't know what it is. Sometimes the street is just like that.
Yeah, I don't know what.
But that's what, like, you just got to tell yourself it's exactly the same.
It's the same thing as the skate park. Just hit it.
It's actually better.
Yeah. My friend kind of did. There was
but I don't know. You just give yourself like this false sense of like, well, this was made for this, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
And you disregard the fact that it's still perfect and made for it.
Yeah. There was a rail that was a little bit out of my league that my buddy kind of coaxed me into last summer.
Okay.
It was like, so like the setup was, there was a sidewalk that ran like a little bit downhill, and then on the side of it was like a retaining wall that was probably, I don't know, knee high. So if you could hop onto the retaining wall and then jump across the sidewalk onto the rail, and it was perfect. It worked so good. And to me, since I had that little bit of extra height from the retaining wall to hop onto the rail, I felt like more comfortable not having to like use all my energy to get up onto it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it slid like way better than anything I've ever rode on a skate park, you know?
Yeah.
It was like it was meant to be grinded. It was perfect. So that was cool. But I wish I rode more street, but I always feel like I'm like by myself completely. I never have like a crew
to go
out with me.
Typically, like, sometimes we end up with a crew riding street, but for the most part, there was a really good long while where it was just Tyler and I.
Yeah.
And Brad's been riding a lot lately. So he's been out, but like I feel like some people have stopped riding, some people don't ride a lot at all, but they're still around, and then some other people have just kind of like, they just want to ride the park, and it's easier. Like, I get it, but it's not really for me.
Mm-hmm.
Or they want to go to spots such as like MLK or Malayans or
Kind of like your run-of-the-mill.
The profile spots where everybody's been rigging them. The basic, I'm trying to figure out how to define.
It's almost like a skate park like in itself.
Yeah.
Like it's just been such a staple as a spot for so long that like it's like, okay, let's go to MLK, which is basically AKA the skate park in the streets.
Yeah. Versus like just kind of hunting for something new.
Yeah.
Or riding something small for 5 minutes and moving on. Like that's how I like to go ride street. And it's hard to find people that want to go do that.
Yeah. I just rode my one good friend just moved back to Ohio and he lives in East Liverpool. And that place is just absolutely ridden with spots. Or I think it's East Liverpool. I think so. But he showed me all these like cool spots. There's like this bank spot that it's an actual bank, like not like a bank.
Mm-hmm.
It has 3 stalls to go into like the ATMs, but on each end of it they have these little tiny banks that lead up to like brick walls, so you can just fly at these things and just like habubica the brick wall, fly off of it, and then with all the separations of the like lines, it's like a endless mani pad. Like you can manual this, nose manual that, 180 manual this. You know, it's just like a fun little like jibby spot. And there's like so many of those little crazy spots around that town.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I was like so stoked on it because I was like, I've been wanting to film and edit for the longest time.
Yep.
And since I ride mainly transition, I kind of wanted to make an edit where I like rode a little bit out of my like rode a little bit out of my genre of riding. So somebody was like, wait a second, I didn't know that he could do that. I've never seen him ride something like that before, you know? So like we were looking around and I was like, dude, we definitely got to come back here and hit some of these spots, you know? We could maybe get like an edit or something out of it, but
yeah. I mean,
there's a lot of good stuff.
If you haven't done one in a while, just do like a quick day edit thing. Like go out there, film literally everything you do, whether you're like super stoked on it or not. Then just put it together, because sometimes you'll get hyped on stuff later.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of times we go out riding and I'll do some stuff, and then later I'm like, man, I kind of wish we filmed that. Like it was fun, and in the moment I was thinking nothing about it, but it was kind of cool.
Yeah. And that sucks too, because it's like you never know when the last time you're gonna do that is. Because I feel like there's so many things that I've done that I wouldn't do now that I wish I had it on film.
Yeah.
And I think it was like the summer of 2015, I bought an SD camcorder because I wanted that old school, like 90s East Coast grimy look to the video.
Yep.
And I was going to ride pretty much transition, but I was going to throw in a lot of the transition-y street stuff too. And I filmed so much stuff that summer on this little tape, and I just watched it like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, man, I would never do that now.
Yeah.
Like, what was I thinking? Like, that's so sketchy. Why was I even trying that or doing that?
Yeah.
And some of my friends even, like, I put up some of the clips on Instagram, like on the story, and my friends were hitting me up, and they were like, dude, like, when did we do that? I can't even remember us. There was probably, I think it was like an 8-stair rail I ice picked down, and I would never do that now. And I was just glad that I at least have it so I can like say like I did it, you know?
Yeah. Well, see, that's where it's like funny too. I'm gonna kind of direct the conversation a different way at the moment with that, but it's funny to me with the edit versus a video thing too. Like you pulled your tape out and you would have watched that.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like you're going to go back and look for digital edits the same way.
No.
As you like come across your old video and you're like, oh, I got to watch this right now.
Yeah. And that was so cool too, because just to watch that, I had to dig out, because I had sold my SD camera. So I had to dig out and find some crappy old camcorder that I could shove this tape into. It wasn't like at the palm of your hands, like somebody whips out their phone and they look at it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like that coolness to it where you watch it and it's grainy and it's not like you're clicking on it. You have to actually watch it the whole way through fast forward it if you're trying to like, you have to like remember like, okay, I think the next day after this we were doing this. So if it's that much farther ahead, I need to fast forward so much more to get to that. Opposed to just like, you know, scrolling through your phone or being on your computer and being like, oh, there's that.
Yeah.
And just it all being in one is like kind of cool because you're just watching the whole thing through. But
well, to even like the DVD thing, you know, it's cool when you find something, but you catch yourself skipping parts.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Montana Ricky was talking about it, where like VHS tape was exactly where you wanted to be because you didn't just fast forward to the next guy's part.
Yeah, you had to watch the whole thing through. You just watch
the whole thing through.
Yeah.
And you get the video for what the video is worth.
Yeah.
And DVD, you could start skipping, well, I don't like Kurt's part, so I'm not going to watch Kurt.
Yeah.
And then every time someone comes over and like, hey, can I check this video out? Yeah, but we're going to skip Kurt's part because Kurt sucks.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, well, you know, Kurt put just as much work into his part too. So.
Yeah. And you kind of have to like try to appreciate everybody else's riding style, which I think I've learned how to do pretty well because, you know, I obviously tend to ride more ramps and stuff like that. But have you seen the D-Walk crew from Canada?
Yeah.
Their mixtape that they made like 5 years ago was like the sickest thing ever. Like all that little jibby street riding in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me so stoked to want to go. I wanted to learn, like, I'd seen stuff on there, and I was like, I have to learn how to do that. It looks so good. And they filmed it with, I think they filmed it with a VX.
Yeah.
And, like, to me, there needs to be, like, a little bit more of that kind of stuff. You know, I feel like everything's too high definition now and, like, almost, like, cinematic. I like the old school, gritty, boom, 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 here it is.
Yeah.
Not, like, everything's all cinematic when it comes to editing it, you know?
Yeah.
I kind of like the old school feel.
I don't even like, personally, a lot of B-roll. Like, people will like to put, you know, rolling through the city in between their clips. And then a pan to the sky, and after your trick, you pan to the bushes. And you just fill your whole edit or part with B-roll.
Because it's just kind of like a filler.
And you know, I didn't buy your video to watch, you know, the sunset over the city and the bushes and the flowers in your town. And, like, I just want the riding, man. Like, bam, 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 tricks.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm going to say mid-2000s when it was getting really heavily into B-roll videos and everything. Yeah. It's starting to bum me out, and now I look back and I'm like, all it was capturing what they were doing at the time.
Yeah.
And what they were stoked on, like
kind of like just like getting people's personalities and stuff to show in the video too.
Yeah, and you need to do that. But then we've moved more and more towards like vlogs and stuff like that, and it's so much of that and so little riding, and I'm like, how are we going this direction?
Yeah. And you know what bums me out,
and now we're
too?
in a podcast, there's zero riding.
Yeah.
And it's just us talking, and there's not even cool scenery.
Hopefully people paying attention at this point. But
probably not.
I always used to get stoked. Like, I think like the media's killed it so much because you just see it way too much. Like, I remember when I was a kid, when X Games rolled around, that was like the biggest thing that could possibly ever happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day you went to school and everybody talked about what happened and everybody was watching it. Because if you didn't watch it then, you were going to miss it. Because very little people had, like, I know my parents didn't have anything to record anything back then with.
I mean, a VCR.
Yeah, other than that, and like.
But even then, they're like, "Don't you record over my shows?"
Exactly.
Like,
my mom already had 3 episodes of Friends being recorded probably at the time. So, you know, you had to actually watch it and pay attention. And now, and like the hype building up to that kind of stuff, like even with like a BMX video, the hype leading up to it, like if you heard word of mouth that it was coming out, the instant it came out, you wanted to grab it and look at it. But now you got everybody on Instagram giving you little tidbits of information of what's happening, like day in and day out. So by the time the video comes out, you pretty much know what the whole concept of the video is going to be.
Yeah, well, and your progression is so quick too, though. So you're watching stuff on Instagram, and every single day someone's one-upping the thing someone did yesterday.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, that's going to be one-upped by the guy that did it the first time.
Yeah.
And it's just going to carry on like that. So when you see every little baby step of progression, you don't get as stoked when you watch the final video.
Yeah.
And the last time you saw a part from this dude 3 or 4 years ago, he was at this level, and now he's at this level.
Yeah.
And you're like, dear Lord, how are you doing any of this?
But now you see it gradually happen.
You're like, eh. Or, you know, like certain people, you kind of watch that. I'll use Cam Gervin as a good example of this. Like, that kid is so good at riding, but everything he does, we all just sit there and we're like, should have just thrown another bar. He could have done better.
Yeah.
And it's like, he probably could have for real, but it's not really the point, and we're just being dicks to him.
Yeah.
But it's funny in that sense. But it's the same thing. You're just like, the progression, you're seeing it all the time, so it's not really that impressive.
Yeah. And Cam's one of those dudes, too, that he's one of those guys that can take a little bit of time off and come back and just be like the same or if not better than when he took off,
tricks
too.
Not on the bike.
Yeah, like he like spent some time thinking about a trick and came back and just did it first try.
Yeah, probably.
You know? And then, like I said, if I take off one time, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Like, I went to Swamp Fest with all the guys from the Wheel Mill over, and I felt like so out of my league the whole time. But it was cool because some guys were like super cool, you know, they kind of like pretty much welcomed me in and let me go on a trip with them, you know. So the whole time I'm just watching like absolutely crazy stuff go down. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I need to step it up a little bit, maybe like get somebody stoked on like some of my riding, you know. Well, when we got there, I got hurt like the second day of the trip. So my ankle was the size of a balloon, and I come back and I wanted to go back to work, and the doctors were like, it's so swelled up that you can get compartment syndrome, and you have to cut your leg off. And I was like,
I'll just get it all filleted open to relieve the pressure.
So I was like, you know what? I'll take the time off. And I think before then I was really getting stoked because like riding with like Mason Ritter and like Tyler Valenick and them guys, like that made me want to ride like every day. I was like, I need to get like to a point where like I can like actually, you know, be a little bit more impressive than I am now. But then when that ankle injury happened, I had to take, I don't know, maybe 2-3 months off.
Yeah.
And when I came back, I was just so frustrated because like my bike just feels so foreign to me. And I feel like my body just isn't used to riding. And I just don't get how some people can... I'm even that way with riding someone else's bike. If I ride someone else's bike for more than 10 minutes, I hop on mine and I can barely ride it.
Yeah.
So it's like totally weird to me. And I'll see some people go from a scooter to a mountain bike to a surfboard and hop on their BMX bike and be totally the exact same.
Perfect. And you're like,
and that like creeps me out. I'm like, I don't even know how you guys do that.
Well, it's actually easier to go from something so much different to something else as opposed to being so similar that you're like compensating for these little changes that do or don't actually affect you.
Yeah.
And in your mind, you're making them act like they do. And then you're like, all right, cool, I'm at least back home and comfortable. And then it's like your body's still compensating because it's minimal.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen. I'd rather go from my mountain bike to my BMX bike than go from like a race bike to my regular BMX bike. Yeah. Because it's so much closer and it makes it weird.
Do you ride your bike more heavy? Or is it like somewhere...
It's somewhere in the middle. We've been talking about doing a bike check sometime soon, but I've never weighed it.
Yeah.
I haven't known the weight of my bike since probably 2003.
Yeah, and you know, that's so funny because people will come up to me at the skate park. Like, it's like the most frequently asked question ever. Hey, how much does your bike weigh? How much your bike costs? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't put it on a scale ever. I don't know. Keep track of how much money I spend on it. It's just my hobby.
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. And I'm pretty sure all my friends make fun of me so much because I'm pretty much all metal everything. Like, I would never run plastic pegs. I'll never run plastic pedals. I always run brakes. I always have pegs on. It's always heavy. My seat's always super high.
Yeah.
It's almost like pretty much a mid-school build. And my friends are like, a lot of the kids I ride with are more park styled. So they're always ripping on me for having like the heaviest like Cadillac of bikes of all time.
Yeah, but you know what? They're probably also replacing parts left and right. And you're just like, I don't know. These pedals have treated me well for 5 years.
The past 4 years. That's another thing too, because a lot of my friends, I think they just do it because they like it, but they'll change parts out. It's almost like I can't keep up with what bike they have.
Yeah.
I see them one day, I'm like, didn't you just have a completely other frame? And I usually keep my stuff for as long as until it breaks.
Yeah.
Or unless it's starting to get like a little sketchy, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
like forks, I try to change those out pretty decently.
I mean, just keep an eye on them. If they're cracking or something weird's going on, like then you just fix it.
Pitch them out or.
That was the case for me the other day. I was at the wheel mill, and every time I've been riding recently, something in my bike doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And if I'm riding like the box jumps, the whole back end feels like it's going like this.
Like there's like play in like the head or the hub or something.
Yeah, but it's not. There's no play in that. But it's been the whole bike feels like it's just a little bit off.
Yeah.
And I can't pinpoint it to one part because the whole bike feels like that.
Yeah.
And as I was riding around the other day, I'm like looking, and my bars are cracked. Right next to the knurling where they're clamped to the stem.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh.
Well, that's probably why.
I mean, they weren't separated, but it was about a little less than halfway around. And I'm like, that would be enough flex, though.
Could you feel it flexing in the handlebars, or did it just feel like your whole bike was off?
The whole bike was off.
That's weird.
And I'm like, all right. Fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just going to go home then, and I'm not dealing with this right now.
Yeah.
And then as I was leaving, I'm like, you know what? I know what I would order if I go home. But if the wheel mill has it right now and I can stay here and ride another hour or something, I'm like, why not just buy it from here?
Yeah.
So I ended up with bars from a company I really don't like.
Yeah. But
a lot of bad experiences on a personal level, not a product level.
Okay.
But they were bars and they had them in stock, and I've been riding, so what do I care?
Like, hey, if they break, I'll just,
yeah,
fix them or whatever.
Well, I mean, they won't break. I'm not worried about that. Just
don't particularly care for
super stoked.
The company itself, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like that too. I usually try to spend my money on stuff that's made in the U.S. mainly. I'd say probably like 80% of my bike is all USA made.
Yeah.
And I try to like support companies that are about the rider, like that actually throw jams and do stuff for kids that aren't pro riders. Because to me, you can assemble a team of contest riders and send them out, and that be like the reason that you get sponsorships, money.
Yeah.
Or you could actually go out and be a big part of your scene and have contest riders on your team.
Well, I mean, you gotta get people stoked. That's kind of the bottom line. Like, some people throw jams because they want to be like throwing a jam or something, and then other people just want to build the scene.
Yeah.
And you can kind of tell the difference. But as far as like where you're talking about it from a company standpoint, I would say it's the same thing. Are they throwing a jam just to hype themselves, or are they throwing a jam to get the local scene stoked?
Yeah.
And I think it's a fine line, and there's a little bit of gray area because obviously you're not going to throw a jam and then whitewash your whole company name out of it and pretend that it's just the scene.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And I think you're onto something there, because if all you've got is contest riders, you just got to watch where you're spending your money. Because if they're not supporting your scene, I mean, there's companies all around you that are supporting your scene, either directly or indirectly.
Yeah.
Any of the companies that are supporting and sponsoring the wheel mill are a good example of that. They're donating money, they're getting their logo branded on the ramps, whatever. And that is indirectly or directly, depending on how you want to look at it, supporting your scene.
Yeah.
Versus, I like this company's products and that's who I'm going to run. Or I like their team and so I'm going to run the same parts as them.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah. I'm kind of I've always liked guys that I always try to tell people like a pro BMX rider, like your sole purpose is to get other people excited about BMX. And there's been so many times where I ain't gonna name names, but I've met people that like I've thought were like the greatest people ever, and in real life they treat the like common everyday average Joe like crap,
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen people go like show up to the skate park. Like to me, when you're a professional in anything, whether it be football, hockey, like your job is to interact with the people that, even if they're somebody you don't want to talk to,
even if they're annoying.
If you show like, there's plenty of times I go to the skate park and there's that super annoying kid that, but instead of me being a dick, I could, kind of influence him in a way of being like, okay, well this guy's pretty cool. Like maybe I'm gonna go buy the same frame that he rides, and then that in turn. Or hey, I'm gonna send this kid. Oh, where do you ride? Oh, I ride at the wheel mill a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Send somebody to the wheel mill. It helps the scene out.
Yeah.
But if like me personally, I won't buy things off of people that like. If there's a pro rider and I know he's a dick, I'm not gonna buy.
His
stuff.
Signature product.
Because I don't think they've realized that like it's not their buddies that they ride with every day that's paying their paychecks. It's the normal, average, everyday kid that just hits flyout ramps or just jumps his bike somewhere.
It's the kid that just asked him how much his bike weighs for the 15th time that day.
Yeah.
At the skate park. And your answer to that question can be whether you're turning product over left and right, or whether that kid goes back home and goes, wow, so-and-so's a dickhead.
Or doesn't want to even ride BMX.
Yeah, totally turns him off from it.
Because whenever I was younger, when our skate park first opened at Brady's Run, it was mainly all skateboarders, and the only BMX riders there were all dicks. And like that could have totally ruined if it wasn't for me just truly loving it and truly liking it.
Yeah.
If I was just one of those kids that like, let's say I only ever rode for 5 years, that's still 5 years that BMX is getting some money out of me, opposed to somebody being a dick to me right away and me being like, okay, well I'm not gonna go ride my BMX bike because those guys are dicks. I don't want to go and show up and feel like I don't belong.
Yeah.
So that's why if it's going to turn around, or if BMX is going to start making money, I feel like it starts with like who you have riding for you and how they treat people,
Yeah.
So.
Well, and your comment about already loving it, like that doesn't happen the first time you go ride.
No.
Like you go ride and then your friends go ride and you're like, all right, I'll come along again. And I think it's really hard to pinpoint, and I think we had this conversation on one of the past couple podcasts, but at some point, it went from something you do in your spare time to something you can't not do.
Exactly.
And I can't pinpoint where that was for me, or when that was, but if that type of thing happens before you hit that point, yeah, it can turn you right off from it. And like, oh, this is not for me.
Yeah. And even like I had rode BMX when I had always rode bikes my whole entire life. Like from the time I was 3 years old, we would race our bikes in the neighborhood, try who could do the longest wheelie. But I didn't really start getting into it until probably like my 8th, 9th grade year of school. because I was playing hockey. So in the summer times, I was like mixing it up. Like I would go ride. Like if my friends wanted me to go ride, I would go.
Yeah.
But then on Saturdays or the weekend would come, I'd be playing hockey or like going out with my friends and going to the mall or something, you know, like just hanging out, being a normal everyday kid. But then, like you said, it's kind of hard to like remember when it started to be like, okay, I just want to only do this.
I do remember when I was playing like Little League or something, that at some point I went from liking playing Little League to every single day I was at practice or every single day I had a game being like, man, all I want to do is be riding my bike. Yeah. I hate this.
Yeah.
Why did I sign up for this?
Yeah. And I was the same way, like, because I snowboard a lot in the wintertime too. And I played basketball, like, all throughout middle school, a little bit into high school. And then it got to the point where all my friends were going on these ski trips, coming back with all these fun stories, like, all this stuff. Like, they had so much fun. And here I am, you know, I'm just another person on the basketball team. It's never going to be something where I'm going to take my career further with it. Like, you know, but I'm just doing it. But why? Oh, because that's like the common thing to do is to play a sport. But I was like, I can either keep playing basketball my whole entire way through high school, and then after that it's done, it's over with. Or I could go snowboarding, build my skills at that, and do that for the rest of my life, no matter what.
Yeah, or I mean, you can still go play basketball too, but like,
not
level,
on like
at what level? Like, if you go to the YMCA and get a pickup game of basketball going,
it's just another
you're
game
either
of basketball
at a level that's 10 times above these players that you're with, or they're 10 times above you, and you're like, it's really hard to group up with a pickup game that you want to take part in.
And like, I always thought with like the snowboarding and the BMX and stuff like that, like I could always make videos and put out stuff, and it be like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'll always be able to put out content with that stuff. And with basketball, it's just like, you know, it's just a fun hobby. Like, I'd play basketball now if somebody wanted to go play basketball. But for me, it's like just a game of basketball. Like, to me, snowboarding and BMX is like my life, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why I left that, because I just always felt like going and getting to travel and getting to ride different places, meet different people. You know, a basketball court's always going to be a basketball court. Same with a football, everything. It's all the same everywhere. But like you go ride somewhere, it's always different.
Like, there's no need or motivation to drive to Chicago to play basketball.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
For what?
Like,
although as far as BMX goes, I've always kind of wondered that with like flatland riders.
Yeah, and that is kind of weird to think about, because it is the same no matter what everywhere.
I mean, you might have like weird variations, but yeah, if you find a really sweet spot, there's something about BMX that it's not just the sport though. It's not just riding, and it's not just the tricks.
Yeah.
It is the travel. It is that B-roll stuff that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
That
it's like messing around with your buddies.
Yeah,
screwing around in the car ride there.
If you go on a road trip, it's probably 70% not riding.
Yeah.
By the time you drive somewhere,
get there,
hang out, do day-to-day stuff on top of riding.
Yeah.
I'd say 30% is probably pretty gracious for how long on a weekend trip you're actually out riding.
Yeah.
So, what makes that fun? 90% of the time, I would say it's not the couple tricks that you got filmed. It's the time you accidentally slammed a door in someone's face and everyone died laughing about it.
Exactly.
Or you know, the weird thing you saw on the side of the highway. It's just memories. So, I mean, I do get it from the flatland side, but it's weird to think about it in the sense of like, you know, what's the point in traveling for basketball?
Yeah.
I think half the time you're probably playing basketball with people that you don't like.
Yeah.
You know, maybe 2 people on your team that you actually like, and then a bunch of people that you just tolerate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy to think about that stuff. I always thought with BMX that, see, my friends never realized. I think we always hit that one period where like we were like, are we even like legit enough to make videos, or like are we even good enough? But then I started thinking about it, and like my friends really got bummed out on it. They were like, dude, I don't even like want to make a video. Like, let's just ride and have fun, because nobody's gonna want to watch us riding. But the thing is that it's totally untrue, because to me, just like I'll refer back to that D-Walk video they made.
Yep.
Nothing in that video that I seen was like completely unimaginable for me to ever do. So like if I watch like a Red Bull video and somebody backflips down a stair set, yeah, that's sick and that's awesome. But it doesn't get me stoked to ride, because I'm never gonna foresee myself in the future backflipping down a set of stairs. But like when I seen those guys, I was like, man, that's like cool stuff that like I could possibly go out and like learn or try. And at my level, somebody else that's not riding at the same level as me can look at that and be like, holy crap, I could do that. Like, why don't I go out and give that a try and try to pick that apart?
Yeah.
So I kind of like just told everybody, I was like, just keep riding, because like as long as you're having fun and like everybody sees that we're having fun in the videos and stuff, it doesn't really matter if you're doing a 360 down a El Toro or it's just riding, and people are gonna like it, for the most part. I'd hope, at least. But
well, I feel like it takes a little bit of time to figure that out.
Yeah.
When you're real young, that is the case. You're looking at, what are the top guys doing, and that's what you're comparing yourself against. And then over time, this is a good example. I didn't like any of the animal or scapegoat videos when I was like real little and riding, and it's funny now because I'm like, they're so relatable.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's just dudes hanging out with their friends, and they're filming their riding, and there's a lot of good riding in there. But some of the presentation and some of the clips are like, yeah, anyone can do that. Yeah. And I think that's the point.
Yeah.
It's more about using the spot and seeing the spot.
Yeah.
And it took a long time to appreciate that.
Yeah.
And now, like, I love those videos. I like watching those type of videos way more than I like watching anything else.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit skewed now because of the presence of edits and the lack of video, like real videos coming out. Even like Ride just released their new project, but they didn't put it on DVD.
Yeah, that is a bummer.
So it's kind of just a glorified web edit.
Yeah.
But here's the process that'll go through. Say, most DVDs anyway get released. They're sold for a minute. They're sold online as a digital copy. And within a month, everyone's part is online.
Yep, it's on YouTube or Vimeo or.
Why do that to yourself?
Yep, and that's where like some of the money goes away at too. Like,
well, no, because they're getting the ad revenue.
Okay.
But here's the way that I would look at that, and the way I do look at that. You have your initial boom, where everyone pays you to watch that video. I'm using the Ride one as an example because there's not a DVD. So that peaks right at the beginning and then drops off drastically, because if you didn't buy it right away, the chances that you're going to buy it are real low.
Yeah.
So once that's like completely dead, 2 to 3 weeks later, drop part A. Okay, here's some peaked interest. Maybe you sell a few copies.
Yeah. In
the meantime, you're getting your YouTube ad revenue. Drop the next part. Peaked interest. Sell a few more copies. YouTube ad revenue. And each part you release is probably selling less and less copies because people already bought the video if they cared.
Yeah.
But by the time all of the parts are released, then they'll release the whole thing for free. And then you can just watch it.
Yep.
So it's got kind of 3 times where it's cool. The initial release, then as each part comes out, then the full video, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember the last time I've been like, oh man, we gotta go watch so-and-so's edit from 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Actually, I can. Jason Levy.
Okay.
But that's apart from a DVD. And it was in Aspire DVD. And Aspire Round 2 had another Jason Levy part. But those parts are phenomenal. That's about the only one I can think of.
Yeah.
Nothing that has come out in that format. But the DVD one, to me, like, the second I see a company put the DVD out, I'm placing an order for it.
So you can actually have a physical copy of it.
It could be the biggest turd of a video I've ever watched, and I'm still stoked that I bought it, because they're creating something. Yep. They're doing something.
And it's the same way if I would make a video. Even if somebody didn't think it was going to be the greatest thing ever, it's still cool that somebody cared enough to be like, okay, I'm going to buy that.
Well, and to some degree, when it comes down to, like, you know, you making a video with your friends, who's it for? It's for you guys.
Yeah.
You know, if other people are stoked on it, that's cool. But the reality is, if you're a little kid and you want to make a video, do it for you. Yeah. Do it whatever you're stoked on at the time. Because, like you said about some of those clips that you found on your camera, you might not ever do that again. Yeah. You might think, oh, I'm just going to get better and better. And the reality is sometimes you don't.
Yeah. Sometimes you could just plane off and that'd be
or you just take a left turn. Like, your riding can be going in this direction, and all of a sudden you get more into riding skate park, and you just go, eh.
Yeah.
And then all of the handrails you've been hitting, like, you might never hit another 12 stair rail again, because all you've been doing the last 10 years is riding skate park. And you never know when those things are going to happen, when the last time you'll ever do something is.
I feel like that's kind of like how, like, Ruben, like, Alcantara was, too. Like, he was, like, super techie, and then all of a sudden he was doing these crazy giant wall rides everywhere, and then got into riding, like, only bowls, and, like...
Before he was super techie, he was a contest rider.
See,
Like late 90s and whatnot, you can find, like, old clips of him, like, double whipping a box jump or something like that.
Like, just contests and stuff.
Contests.
And, like, his riding, like, outside of that is just so creative and, like, really kind of, like, pushed. Like, I feel like that was one of the, like, I think it was the Forward video that got everybody super hyped up. And they're like, whoa, like, stuff's getting big now. Yeah,
and he also had a really good part in an old McNeil video. I think it was self-titled.
Okay.
Then the one with the really big wall rides that you're talking about would have been that next Etnies video, Grounded.
Okay.
I think was the one that had all those huge wall rides. He had a bunch of good stuff in a Fly video at some point too.
Yeah. But that stuff to me is cool because, like, you never know what to expect.
Yeah.
Like, somebody that, like, can go and ride everything, but, like, the style changes over the years. Like, I doubt in the next 10... I feel like in 10 years from now, I'm probably not going to be fucking myself down any stairs. You know? I don't think I'm going to be able to handle that in 10 years. But my riding I might get super into just riding minis or something, or just riding bowls. Yeah. I have no idea. Right now, I try to, like, ride a little bit of... Try to dabble around in everything, at least, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, with that... I'd like to make a video soon, but it's hard to get anybody that wants to film. And I think Tyler talked about that too, about how hard it is to get somebody, you know, whenever you're trying to balance out riding, having fun, and filming, and being kind of serious at the same time.
And if you're the one, like you were already talking about, hey, come to Seven Springs, film us skiing, and you're like, I just want to go ride, man. Like, I just because I enjoy filming and editing projects doesn't mean I always want to be filming and editing projects. I like to just ride too, and it's hard to balance that because if everyone sees you always out filming, then it's easy to just forget that you like to ride.
Yeah. Especially whenever everybody kind of like labels you as the guy, you know. A lot of my friends would want me to make something, but they don't realize how much like of a headache it could be whenever, because I would get excited to make anybody a video, but it comes to the point where like when you're sitting at your computer and you're trying to get something to work right, and you're spending so much time trying to get, you know, maybe a trick synced in with a song, or like trying to figure out what song's going to go right with the vibe of the video, and then there's like always little editing mishaps and disasters that happen along the way that you have to deal with.
And then, I mean, playing into that problem of timing is, I'm sure you've seen it a bunch from people that don't film a lot, start filming too late and stop filming too early. So you don't have any run up and run out to play with too. You're like, man, I need 2 more seconds of this guy pedaling in at this full
for
speed
it to link up right,
for it to work good. Because there's no clip I can drop in there without it being rushed.
Yeah.
But yeah, like sometimes you just need a little bit of pedal time or something.
Yeah.
And it's real hard to get it.
Yeah. I always hated whenever you have something like the setup is like kind of a quick thing.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of stopping it, just letting it go, just keep filming until they get it, which is sometimes nice because if it only takes them 5 tries, you can just watch it through, slice it on both ends wherever you want it, and be done. But if it's one of those tricks where it's like starting to take the person a whole hour to get something, then you have to delete. Because see, me, I don't like to delete stuff right away on the camera because I feel like it takes too long, you know, to do all that. But then you have this giant load to just look through, and like I said, whenever you have somebody that really wants you to make them something, they don't realize you have to go through and look through every little bit of information.
I have probably every clip that's ever been filmed from 2000 on.
Jeez. I couldn't even imagine looking through that much stuff.
I don't delete anything. And I had a really hard time convincing myself to go to any digital format from tapes.
Yeah.
For that reason. Like, I wouldn't back up and erase or film over a tape just because we didn't land something. You just threw a new tape in.
Yeah.
And then you had, you know, maybe 4 tapes of someone trying the same trick over the course of 5 days or something. And you're like, that was absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe it took you that many tries. But you've got them all. And the catalog of that alone is hilarious.
Yeah. And just having that too, because like you can always go back, and if you say you're slow on content and you don't have anything to post, you can always kind of go back through and be like, okay, I'm gonna make a crash edit, or just
I'm gonna make an edit to make this dude feel like a total idiot, and I'm gonna put every attempt in one go.
Yeah.
And then the landed one all the way at the end.
Yeah.
But I know that they did that at one of our HCS skate park. In one of their videos, the end was like, I think after the credits is 300 and some odd tries at someone doing like a tail slide or something down a ledge.
Man.
Or it was some sort of grind on what should have been a basic grind on a basic setup, and it just did not work.
Yeah.
And it was multiple days and couple hundred tries.
Yeah.
I think it was 300 something.
Jeez, man. I couldn't even imagine trying something that many times.
It's long, drawn out, and not really that funny after a certain point.
Yeah.
But videos miss a whole component when you've got your riding sections and a crash section. They miss the frustration.
Yeah.
And we've also done that in some of those HCS videos. The guy that edits them mostly loves to do kind of weird stuff like that. So he's got a couple parts that are just frustration sections, and it's yelling at your bike, throwing a skateboard at the ground.
And everybody always loves seeing that. Like, that's always one of the funniest things to watch.
Well, especially when it's like not even a crash, you know. You land and you roll out goofy and you just scream because it's not how you wanted it to be.
And I like to put that stuff into my videos too, because I always try to kind of keep in mind your average Joe watching it that doesn't even watch BMX. They're gonna watch it and be like, okay, that's cool, but like after a while, to like a person like that, they're gonna start perceiving everything as like kind of the same. Like, so if you break it up a little bit and like throw some stuff in there that's like the funny stuff, like somebody throwing their bike or somebody totally eating crap or somebody throwing a prank on somebody when you're on a road trip, you know?
Yeah.
That's like the stuff where people are like, oh man, that was pretty funny. Like, even though you don't have to be totally into BMX to get it.
Yeah.
Like, everybody sees a backflip on a video and you're like, oh my God. Like, the average person's gonna be like, oh my God, a backflip. But like, for me, when I watch a video, if somebody does
just a straight backflip, you're like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, like everybody's done one. But if I see somebody roll up to a ledge and hop on the ledge, do a foot jam to like an ice pick on it, like to me, like that kind of stuff's cool. Like the little jibby stuff.
Tech riding does not appeal to randoms.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Because I don't know if it's just like
I don't think because there's no flash to it.
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't have like a universally understood thing going on, and the intricacies are lost when you're not intimately familiar.
Yeah.
I think the same thing comes down to sports and stuff too. You know, if you watch like boxing or something, you know, you understand it. If you just watch it and you've never watched it before, you understand at the base level, like, okay, that guy getting punched in the face is probably losing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the fight, maybe he comes it back in last round, knocks the guy out.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay. And later you realize all he was doing was just kind of rocking with the shots.
Wearing the guy out
a little bit, and he's playing the technical long game.
Yeah.
And, like, technical is not fun to watch a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It is when you understand it.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the MMA stuff, you know, people that get into like clinches and whatnot, and you know, it's just a ground match.
Yeah. And to people, they hate that too.
No, people hate it because it's
when you're rolling around the ground, it's not, like you said, it's not the flashy, pizzazzy stuff.
Yeah.
But you don't realize
everyone wants to watch the KO.
Yeah.
And even people that love it and know every intricacy love watching the KO. But they're watching it because they want to see how technical you can get. And like, you know, how you're performing. And a KO is just a KO.
Yeah. I think the whole reason why I think I even got into the whole BMX thing in the first place is because there's no... You can have competition in BMX, but to me, I feel like it was like... There was no stress. There was no... I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything a certain way. Because I'm goofy-footed. I ride my pegs on my driver's side.
We should have just not even had this whole conversation then. Should have just said no podcast.
Yeah. Like, everything about it is like... Everything that I do is like taboo-ish in a sense, you know?
But it's all fake rules.
Exactly.
None of it matters.
That's what the glory of it is. There is no rules. And I try telling people, if somebody rolls out an Indian giver every time, okay, who cares? That's your style. That's how you ride. And there's no rules to it.
Especially if you're not filming a part or something. Like if you're filming, you're gonna make a little bit extra effort to do it proper.
Yeah.
And have it look good.
Yeah.
But the reality is, on a daily basis, just riding, we pull some of the worst looking stuff.
Yeah.
And we laugh about it and like, we're not filming anything. That counts.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It counts.
I landed it.
If you hop and you have to do 14 safety hops out of it to get the opposite way again, then who cares, you know?
Blow a foot off the pedal, ride away one-footed.
Yeah.
I didn't put it down.
It doesn't matter.
It wasn't on the pedal.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
And I've always kind of hated the whole aspect of, you can always tell whenever you go to a skate park, you're at a street spot, you can always tell the guy that wants to be like the alpha BMX rider.
Mm-hmm.
And I could care less for that.
Yeah.
Like if I go to a skate park and let's say I do a backflip at the skate park, I'm doing it because I wanted to do it. I think it's fun. all my buddies know that I can do it. I'm not doing it to show off for anybody. I just want to do it because they're fun.
Well, and it's not like the first thing you do when you roll into the park.
Yeah.
That's the alpha guy thing you're talking about. Oh, there's a bunch of kids here. All right, first thing, backflip.
Yeah.
You're just like, woo.
Yeah, you're like, okay, dude, I don't care. Like, I'll roll, I'll do one, and then I'll see somebody else I don't know, and they'll instantly go and do one. I'm like, oh, yeah, I can do one too. I'm like, all right, okay. Man. Like, especially when people, like, just randomly will come up and... I had one guy at Imperial Skate Park, and I really wish I would know who this guy is now. I was probably 15, 16 years old, just starting to, like, get the hang of, like, riding, like, a good spot, like, a good skate, or a decent skate park, you know?
Yeah.
And this guy wanted me, like, he just kept bugging me, my friends, to play him in a game of bike. And he absolutely obliterated us. Like, he was doing, like, double bar spin 180s over the spine. And at that point, we had just learned how to ride the spine. And the guy just, like, totally ragged us the whole time, you know? And to me, I was just like, hey, fuck you. I don't care how good you are. I don't care if you care how good I am. I just want to ride my bike and have fun with my friends, and that's it. Yeah. I never wanted it to be a competition. I didn't care if my friends were way better than me. It was just something that I liked. So that's why I, like, when I go to a skate park, somebody asks me to play a game of bike, I usually 9 times out of 10, I'm like, nah, man, I don't want to play a game of bike. I'm just here to have fun and ride. I mean, now, if it's like my friends,
I'll play with friends all day long because it's not about who's better at that point.
Yeah, it's not a pressure thing.
Like, all right, let's both learn a couple new tricks then.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I've been playing on and off, depends on who I'm riding with, been playing it a little bit differently where you actually want the letter, but you have to mutually agree on a trick ahead of time.
Okay. So it's kind of like a calling the shots type of thing.
Yes, but... you're always calling a little bit above where you can actually do consistently.
Okay.
So you'll agree on the trick, and then you go for it, don't get it. I go for it, don't get it. And this repeats until one of us gets it.
Okay.
Then, let's say you got it first. If I get it, you got to get it again. And it's the first one to mess it up now.
Okay.
So it becomes a consistency game. So these games generally take a long time, but it's really fun to play at a little bit level, like a level a little bit above yourself, and then to turn it into how consistent can you be with what you just kind of learned.
Yeah. And that's cool because, like, when you're with your friends and, like, it doesn't feel like a competition. It just feels like you and your buddies are just messing around. And if you never get the trick, it doesn't matter. But if you do get it, everybody's excited about it. And they're like, oh, dude, that's awesome that you learned that. I can't believe that, like, 2 years ago you never thought you could have ever done that. Now you're doing it every other try.
Yeah.
You know? And for me, like, some of my best sessions have been whenever me and my friends have just been like, hey, man, can you do that? Have you ever done that before? I don't know. Let's both just try it until one of us gets it first. You know?
See, that's exactly what it is, and it's just turned into the game.
Yeah. And there was a game that the snowboarders started. I don't know the game, like, completely, like, the specifics of it, but it kind of went like, so you Rochambeau'd, and then whoever won had to call a trick for the other person, and they had to do the trick, but for it to count, you also had to do it as well. So say I told you to do a 180 bar spin and you messed it up, then I would have to do it. But if I messed up, then I would get a letter because I was the one that called it out and I didn't complete it, you know? So the only way for you to score, the only way for that person to score is, like, you have to back it up. Like, if you call them out a trick, you also have to be able to do it as well. I don't know exactly.
It's weird that you'd play it that way because it's the same as playing it like regular bike or regular skate or whatever.
But just reversed.
Yeah, because if you don't get it, why? Like, if you didn't get it, why would I even have to do it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird that I would even have to try it first. Like, that game doesn't really make sense kind of offhand there.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
But that's just kind of how they played it, and I thought it was kind of funny how it was, like, reversed around a little bit, just a different way of playing it.
It's cool in the sense that it makes you try things.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you know, if I called something and didn't land it, you're just not going to try it.
Yeah.
But it would make you try it before it's determined whether it counts or not.
Yeah. It was kind of like, I guess it's like a mixture of like calling the shots, but you have to land it. Like,
yeah.
Or you don't.
Weird.
Yeah. It's pretty weird stuff.
The other thing I've always thought with playing games of bike is if you won't even try it, like people that are like, nope, I'll just take a letter.
Just take the letter, yeah.
No, you just lose. You straight up lose. I don't care if that's a B.
Like you have, like it's like a do or die thing.
Like, at least roll in,
give it a thought.
If it was supposed to be a tail whip over a box jump, like at least do a 1-footer and pretend like you're trying to kick it.
Yeah. Or like say, hey, can I do it out of a fly?
If you're just gonna sit on the deck and take a letter, why did you even want to play in the first place?
Yeah. See, I get like amped up sometimes because that's what gets me into that mindset where like normally if I'm just having a chill session and I'm really thinking about doing something, but then I don't end up doing it at the end. But if you see somebody do it before you and there's something on the line, you feel like, man, he just did it. I'll just get in that mindset. I'll just go for it. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Opposed to just saying, nah, not today. I ain't going to do it. I'll just take a letter. Because I feel like even then you at least get the feeling of maybe how to do it.
Yeah.
Like, there's like a couple wall rides that I'd like to try. And I've been kind of wanting to follow somebody through one. But I feel like if you just take the letter, like say somebody did a gnarly wall ride, and you just take the letter and don't try, opposed to, let's say you try and you wreck, you at least get that first part out of your mind of, okay, the fear of actually going for it is gone now.
Well, or at least like pedal at it and jump towards the wall. I don't care if you land short and just land on the deck. At least you like made some effort
to get back for it and do it. And we play like, I go to Imperial a lot in the summertime, and there's all different types of riders there.
Yeah.
And when we play, sometimes like the bunch of us will get together and we'll play like giant team games of bike, and that's usually when the most fun happens. Is because somebody will set something that is super weird, but it'll get half the people out. Like somebody that like barely is on anybody else's level, like somebody that's like on the like lowest of the totem pole will do something and get half of us out. That's the kind of like fun stuff that.
That's so. I was thinking about it when you're like, yeah, people that just roll up to the park and just want to play you and bike. Because I drive a lot and travel a lot to ride, or did for a while. I'd roll up to parks all the time, and just because I'm a little bit bigger, people would call me out to play bike all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you've seen how I ride. Some days it's like very cookie cutter, like park kid BMX rider.
Yeah. Which
you can tell that I've ridden trails there, or at least park a lot, because I can do tricks like Superman or just straight turn downs, anything like that. Or other days, I'll just do the weirdest made up trick that you've never even thought of. And I've got them unlocked too.
Yep.
And I will always push back. Like, I really don't want to play bike, dude. I just rolled up. Like, it's your local park. Obviously, you're going to win. And then I've won a good majority of those games.
Yep.
Just like, all right, you want to be a douche and do whip, then 180 whip, and then down whip because you found out that I'm not good at whips. Like, I could land one if you forced me to.
Yeah.
But I can't do them over and over and over.
Yeah.
I can't really do them at all since the ACL thing.
Yeah.
Like, I can't not land one because it really hurts.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And that's like the cool thing with everybody's like so different that you could think that about somebody. Like, there was this one guy that he absolutely killed it in the streets. Like, was an absolute animal. But if I would have judged him by the first time I ever seen him ride, because we rode like box jumps and stuff together, I would have never thought he was that good.
Yeah.
You know, it's just weird how like everybody, you could maybe think somebody's like not on your level, or you could think somebody's like not as good as you, which in the grand scheme of things never matters anyway. But
no,
it's like, but holy cow, like
it still comes up.
You can't ride a box jump, but you just did a truck driver so smooth first try, and could probably 360 way bigger things than I ever will.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I think 360s I've always struggled with. I can barely do a flat 360.
Yeah, I can't.
I can do it over a box jump.
I can probably do like 1 and 2, so I can do like every other time I can land a flat 3. And this trick just kills me because I should be way better at it than I am.
Yeah.
I just can't. I can't do them consistent.
And I'm the same exact way.
I can, I'll tell you that I can't do them, and then I'll do the most beautiful hop 3 you've ever seen. And you're like,
what the heck,
what,
man? I thought you said you
yeah, I thought you said you couldn't do them. I'm like, I don't know, man. And then the next day, I'll be riding in a parking lot, and I'm like looping out and 270ing and pivoting, like 180 pivot, and I'm like, how have I ridden for this long at, not like great level, but I can ride okay enough that, how can I not do this?
Yeah.
Still.
I feel like I'm at the point now where I'm not really like that good at tricks in particular, but I feel like I can go ride anywhere and find good lines and ride anything that's there.
And have fun.
Yeah. Like, I went to Changa and everybody was griping about how slippery it was, but I could ride it, and I had a blast riding it. And that's where like you can like see where like some people just ride only one type of thing. Like, you go to Imperial and everybody's used to, they're an Imperial local, they ride there all the time, opposed to, okay, you take them out of their element and then all of a sudden they're not used to it no more. And I think I've gotten past that, where I can go to any skate park, any different weird type of quarter pipe, any different weird type of ledge. If it could be bumpy, it could be smooth, and I feel like I can figure something out.
Slippery is not always a bad thing either. Like, you can have a lot of fun with slippery.
Yep.
And I mean, it's just, you're going with a lot of Imperial locals too. That ground is just really gritty there.
Yep. You can ride it in the rain, actually.
You can ride it in the rain. At certain points, it gets real slick. But yeah, for the most part, like, it can be a light rain and you can just keep riding.
Yeah.
And you can carve the bowls as if they're dry.
Yep.
Because as soon as the rain stops, it will be dry. It's all porous, and it just wicks the water away right away.
Yeah.
As far as like the Changa and stuff like that, it is real smooth, but it's also skate light.
Yeah. And
the same people love skate light, but they complain about how slick things are. And then they go ride the Resi. And you're like, that's slipperier than like, I think you're just complaining.
Yeah. And I think that's like the cool part of like going to a place, because you go to a place and you're like, oh, this place is slippery, so I know I can try this. Like, I can slide something super far. Or I can slide out. Like, I could do all these new cool slider tricks instead of just being like, okay, it's too slippery, I'm not going to be able to do a 360 over this pyramid without sliding out the bottom. Who cares? Just do something different. Try something.
Or land it better.
Yeah, exactly. But
so, I don't know. I've always found that weird though, like complaining about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not that we all don't do it, because we all do it.
Yeah. At one point or another, I know me and my friends, we all have our, I like stuff that's full of transition, full of gaps, anything I can transfer.
Like, I'll complain about Ray's. Ray's is so spongy that I can't ride anything there.
The plywood's like
it's
super...
so soft and spongy. You just, every time you go to pump, it's like you're riding a sponge.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, and like, I feel like when I go to Rays, I feel like it's always way crowded because I feel like every time I go, it's on a weekend. And I can't take time off work during the week. So,
yeah.
It's always so crowded, but I still go. You know, I still like to go and ride it. It's just, it's just something different everywhere.
Yeah.
The wheel mill's smaller.
The wheel mill gets crowded too, though. Like, you weren't there tonight, but tonight it was just packed.
Yeah.
But they've got that Ride Like a Girl weekend going on right now. I think that's, today and tomorrow, as far as I know. And then nothing next weekend, and that I know of. But then they've got the Winter Welcome Jam coming up.
And that, I'm going to have to make sure to get super early because I haven't been in 2 years because last year I broke my foot, couldn't go. The year before that, something popped up at home, couldn't go. So I think it's been since 2015 was the last time I went there. And it was hard to get parked. Because I can't be there super early in the day. So by the time I show up around 4 or 5 o'clock, you're already screwed.
Well, they still have that back lot that you can park in.
And I'm pretty sure that's where I parked last time.
Depending on the weather, it sucks.
Yeah.
I don't want to park and have to carry my bike through that muddy lot and then down the back alley and all the way around the park if it's pouring out or something.
Yeah.
I think the last couple years they've held it at the end of February, not at the end of January.
Okay.
Because I remember it overlapped my birthday, and I would be like up home in New York.
So you couldn't make it back.
Yeah, so I just wouldn't be here for it. But yeah, we're sponsoring the Street-ish Jam.
Yeah.
This year.
Well, that's gonna be cool. What time does that start? Is that
that's
earlier
like the
in the
first
day?
thing.
Okay.
Yeah, on the flyer, I think it's like a 1:30 thing.
Who all from like you guys' crew is gonna be out there for that?
I have no idea. I don't even really know what's going on fully with it.
Yeah.
Mike asked me if I wanted to sponsor it, and I was like, yeah, I'm down. Like, always down.
Yep.
But we have to call it Street-ish, because GrindWorks already has a street jam.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. That's like the street jam. I haven't got to make it yet.
Yeah.
But I always see all the clips, and I'm like, wow, that shit's crazy. What's going down? Like.
Yeah.
So I always get stoked on that.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's funny though. I actually hate riding in a group setting like that.
Just because it's like too much, or
I just don't really dig it. But I like doing it for the scene. It kind of comes back to that conversation we were talking about before. Those street jams are not for me.
Yeah.
They are definitely for everyone else.
Yeah. But it's cool because you created it. Like, you guys are the people that brought everybody together to enjoy that. Even if you're not the guy that everybody's, screaming and yelling for, hucking themselves down a giant stair, you're the reason why everybody's there doing that to begin with and having that fun.
Yeah. And I think Brad pushed me to do it a lot. And Tyler. But Brad mostly was like, you gotta do a street jam.
Mm.
And I think that would have been probably 2015. No, 2016 was the first one.
Okay. I thought it was earlier than that too, though.
So I didn't do it the first, I moved down in the middle of summer on 2014. Met these people, so 2015 came around, they're like, do a street jam. I'm like, I don't want to do a street jam.
Yeah.
And then 2016, do a street jam. I'm like, okay, fine. They're like, good, we haven't had anything since the Square One jams. And I think it had been 9 years since the last one of those at that point. And they're like, we gotta have something. So, then the first one got, I'm gonna say, overly hyped. Because they're like, yeah, we haven't had anything since Square One. I'm like, don't put that, level on this.
Because you don't know what it's going to turn into.
This could be a giant turd.
Yeah.
Or it could be the best thing ever. But it's also an entire decade apart. And it's not like we're sitting here going, well, Square One hasn't done it, so I would just do it. It's just that no one's done it.
Yeah.
So someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know what the future for that's going to be. We've kind of done 3 of them in a row, ran nearly the exact same route every year, which is fun, but I don't know what people want.
Yeah.
And I don't know where else we could do it that has that many spots that close together that you can have a bunch of people at.
Yeah.
Like, you can have 200 people at MLK, and 40 of them could be riding at the same time, not even in trains.
Yeah. There could be sub things going on everywhere.
Yeah, and everyone gets to hang out, and everyone's stoked.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we leave from there, like, people aren't as stoked. Yeah. And it's okay. I mean, I feel like topic-wise, that's probably been burned out. The last couple podcasts have talked about that, but it's true. From the standpoint of, like, trying to do something else with it, I really don't know what to do.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to make it different every single year when you're only limited to what you got.
Yeah, or do you just take a break at that point? Because people are going to not come if they're like, oh, is it going to be the same jam as last year?
Yeah.
Well, of course not. People are going to be coming, like, doing different stuff, but yeah,
that's just like
kind of
mindset in the same way. I've had 3 jams. I had one at my local, which I hyped up, tried to get. I was like, I want everybody here. Like, it's going to be crazy. Like, we'll see what this little park can, like, what the craziest thing that could go on this little park. And almost nobody showed up. Mm-hmm. But then I've had times where I was just like, yeah, a couple buddies. We had a box jump and a couple little plywood, like rail, or a couple ledges, couple rails in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Everybody and their brother turned out for it. I barely did anything for it. It was just like, yeah, we're going to have a jam, mess around, have fun. Everybody and their brother showed up and wanted me to have another one. When you have another one. Same with, I had a snowboarding rail jam in my backyard.
Okay.
A whole bunch of people showed up. It was to the point where I was like, didn't have the parking for everybody. I was calling my neighbors and being like, hey, do you care if so-and-so parks their truck in your yard? Because I'm having a party down here and it's starting to get a little out of hand in my driveway. But that time where I was like putting things on Instagram and had dates, and I was gonna buy everybody pizza, and we brought food, and my buddy brought his pop-up tent and had like a microphone and stuff, and it was basically just me and my friends and maybe like 5 or 6 people that showed up.
Yeah.
You know? And then all the other times were just like, yeah, they want to have something. I don't know what the science behind it is, but
planning, like, if people see stuff ahead of time, sometimes they write it off. And I don't know, it's hard because as far as like planning an event, you need to give sponsors enough time to collect their thoughts, send stuff over, hook it up, you know, and sometimes they got to pass it through management and stuff. So it can take weeks to get a sponsor lined up.
Yeah.
Certain companies require a shop to place an order. So if we have a shop sponsoring, well, we got to convince that shop, hey, you have to place an order with company XYZ over here, and then they're sponsoring the jam too.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's really difficult to line up.
Yeah.
So there's a balance between how early you announce the jam and how long you wait to announce it.
Yeah, because if you do it too soon, people get sick of seeing it all the time. They're like, man, these people were really desperate since they've been hammering you about this jam since 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But if you do it too late, then everybody's like, well, if you would have told me 2 months ago, I would have probably been able to make it, you know?
Yeah, I would have had to take time off work.
Yeah.
I like getting that excuse, though, when it's been out for 2 months. Like, oh, man, I wish I knew about it, like, 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, where the heck have you been?
Yeah. Especially whenever it's been online everywhere and everybody's been talking about it. Because for me, if it's worth it, I will take off work, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, Swamp Fest is one of those events where I know that I'm going to run into a lot of people that I want to see ride. And it's going to be worth it for me to go down there and basically just take a vacation.
Yeah.
It's not only the riding. I can go down there, hang out at the beach. Go
yeah, like you could take a whole week and go down and then
ride all the different skate
round
parks.
it out at the jam, or start it out at the jam and then have a week after that to do whatever you want.
And that's like when it's like worth it to me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like maybe like when you're having your first jam ever, people are like, well, is it really going to be worth me taking a time off for this, or, you know, in that aspect of everything.
Well, it's tough because it's up to you.
Yeah.
You know, who's to say it's going to suck, or who's to say it's going to be fun either.
Yeah.
But there's always the risk of rain too.
Yeah.
So that's
that like totally sucks, because then you got people that came so far to do this, and then you try to have it the next weekend and you have a quarter of the people.
Yeah. Right, because everyone was like, oh, I don't know, I can't do it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like a humongous investment too. Like, you spend all your time planning the whole thing. That's why I think like sometimes the ones that you plan the least for end up being, you know, the best one.
Well, you get the people that are just free right now, and they're like, oh yeah, cool. We had an accidental street jam out in Akron. I think it was this year. We went out there, just a couple of us. We just wanted to film some stuff and ride.
Yeah.
We like hit up a couple local friends, and they ended up hitting up all their local friends, and it turned into this just web effect, and we ended up having, I think, like 40 or 50 people out street riding one day.
That's so sick.
And I'm like, this is insane.
See, that's like so cool though, because whenever I had that like barbecue-ish type jam, that's kind of how it was as well. It was like hey, this person's free. And he's like, oh, dude, my buddy would love to be there. Let's call him. And then not only was there people there to ride, we had a bunch of people show up to actually, you know, just hang out and watch, which was cool because, you know, it's cool whenever you get recognition from your fellow peer BMX riders, but when you get like recognition like outside of that and people are stoked on it as well, it like makes it feel like even better, in my opinion. But so
I was just looking at my water cup, like I wish I had more.
Yeah,
I do. I didn't even think about it. Hang on a minute. Let's do this right in front of the microphone, so it's really annoying.
Probably sounds like somebody pissing in their toilet or something.
A little aggressive and thick, but maybe.
Like.
So, are you still doing ATS then? All things shred?
That is such a hot debate. So, I have a lot of people that keep saying, Jesse, if you make t-shirts or hoodies, I'll buy them. Jesse, when are we gonna like get this revival going? But
there's so many hollow promises, and
when
I'll buy them, and you're like, okay, well I bought them, and everyone's like, I don't have any money.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's not even that too. It's like I'll hit up people to ride all the time. The same people that always want to, you know, say, oh yeah, let's get everything back together, you know. And it's like, I understand, like it gets to a point where like you leave it, it's hard to come back and just be balls to the wall back into it. But for me, it's like, I just could never imagine leaving. So I know that I'm always going to be there. So if I could just get like the people that were initially involved back in full scale again, then maybe. Because you know how hard it is to do it just one single person by yourself.
Well, yes and no. GrindWorks actually started with 3. And then it's effectively 2, myself and Cameron Turan.
Okay.
And he's still up in the Binghamton area. So he pretty much handled all that stuff up in New York, and I've been handling everything down here. And it's worked out for the most part, but yeah, I mean, like planning jams and stuff, there's a lot of that's just one person. He typically handles the New York one, and I handle the one down here, so at least I'm not fully planning like 2 jams back to back.
Okay.
We split the sponsors on them.
Okay.
But that helps. But No, I guess the next question I was going to ask them, based on how you were going with your answer there, is have you thought about just kind of killing it and just doing something different all yourself?
It's so weird you just said that, because I was literally just about to say I've been wanting to just start a whole new thing based off of like, because see right now, like the face of All Things Shred is everybody that it once was, and it's just not the same anymore. And I figured if I start something completely different, just kill it, start completely over, then whoever wants to join can join, and that's not the face of it anymore. Like,
and in some ways, it'll be like almost better that it's, if you just start something and it's just your deal, then you can work on it at your pace and do what you want with it.
Yeah.
And it's not like, well, are you guys cool with this, or
yeah,
what do you guys want to do?
It's you just basically you.
When it's convenient, you pull the trigger and you go.
Yeah.
And if it's not convenient, you just throttle back.
Yeah. I was dabbling around with ideas, and like my whole neighborhood is built on a giant hill. So I'm like in this weird spot in Beaver County where 2 minutes you can be in town, 2 minutes you're in the suburbs, and 2 minutes you're in the complete middle of nowhere in the country. And everything is like on a giant mountain. So I've been thinking about maybe starting up something like, I was thinking like Hilltop brand or Hilltop Co. or something. I don't know, something with Hilltop in it, since I live on a giant hill.
Yeah. And
that's kind of like what we based everything off of, was my whole neighborhood basically being a bunch of skateboarders and BMXers. And,
yeah.
You know, so I was dabbling around thinking about that. And I think if I can get an edit put out of myself, I think that'll kind of help me get the motivation.
Yeah, I would figure out your branding first, because you might as well use your edit to just kickstart it.
Yeah, like kind of like, I kind of wanted to like make a little bit of product and then me wear it in some of my edits or something. Maybe.
So, I could not remember the name of it off the top of my head when I was talking to Jake last week, but I looked it up and I sent him the information. Teespring.
Okay.
Is a website that, if you don't necessarily want to like invest on the front end of buying shirts and everything, you can upload your design and they'll make and print a one-off shirt for you.
Okay.
And for anyone that orders it. So like it's just your web store. It's through Teespring.
Okay.
And then if I want an All Things Shred or a Hilltop or whatever shirt, I go on, see what you've got available, and I order it, and they print it and ship it direct to me. And
you don't have a shit ton of copies.
Well, you might get like $1 or $2 out of that whole transaction.
Okay.
They give you your cut, but it's not like you're buying 100 t-shirts at a really good price and then selling them for a fair price.
And then maybe selling, not even knowing if you're going to sell all of them or not.
Right. You're just getting paid on what they print. And I feel like at a startup level, that's amazing.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I never even cared if it made me any money at all. To me, it's like just such a cool thing to go somewhere. Like whenever I would walk around and see All Things Shred stickers everywhere.
Yeah.
Or somebody in West Virginia would be on a job site and there'd be an All Things Shred sticker on the side of a backhoe somewhere. Like that was like the coolest shit for me. And I even remember when I gave you like a stack of like 200 stickers, and whenever you would
gave me a bunch, and I was shipping them out with different orders and stuff, so they're probably all over the country.
And people were hitting me up on Instagram, like they would get like your order and they would like tag like me and whoever else you sent out with it. And I'm like, holy shit, like something that I created, something that I made it to California or Maine or Canada or like, you know, just weird oddball places that like something that I made it's now there.
Yeah.
And that's what is like the most rewarding part of it for me. Is just seeing how it grows. And if it makes me a little bit of money on the side, cool. But if it doesn't, I never started All Things Shred wanting it to be a moneymaker. I almost wanted it to be like something I could just be proud of. being like, I grew this community, or I grew a whole scene of riding, and somebody back in somebody 10 years from now have been like, oh, I seen your part in the All Things Shred edit 5 years ago, and that's what made me want to ride. You know? Something like that would have like got me like super stoked. But as for right now, just work and just growing up is just so crazy. I'm like in that weird stage right now where I'm like pretty much a full-fledged adult now. Yeah. Kinda. Like it kinda sucks, you know? But
yeah, at some point you transition from being able to ride for 8 hours every day to like, oh man, if I can catch an hour session tonight, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. I think in a sense it's made me appreciate it more, because like whenever you could just go every summer day and go ride every single day, you know, you get burnt out.
Yeah, you get burned out and you take like a week where you're like, I don't want to ride.
Yep. But if I'm at work and I'm thinking about it all day, and I know I can't ride for 3 more days, and I just keep thinking all day, every day, what I can do, I feel like I get to the skate park and I'm fresh and I have all these new ideas and I go out and try more, opposed to just going out for 3 hours every single day. You know?
Yeah. Well, see, that's where you fall more into the category of like just going to the skate park too.
Yeah.
If you're out every single day, you're just like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, let's just go to the park. Versus when you're only getting limited time, you're like, all right, this is what I need to do. Like, I want to go ride this. I want to get this filmed, something like that. You're a little bit more driven, I would say, to get certain things done. And then you will fall into the times where you're like, you know what, man, I've only got an hour. All I want to do is ride Imperial.
Yeah. So I might as well, because that way it's like, you know that you're at least going to get some enjoyment out of it. Like if you go and you take a day where it's like just a random adventure, you don't know, you might not find anything really worth riding, or you might not feel like you accomplished anything in it. But then there's those rare days where you find something that you had no idea was there, and you're like, wow, how did I not know this was here? This is perfect. And you end up sessioning it for 3 hours, and it ends up being just like a skate park session, but out somewhere you had actually had to go look for it and work for it and find it, you know, which is cool. And I think I've been driving around a lot lately. I've been wanting to find the perfect curved wall ride in the streets somewhere. And I thought I found one the other day. So I drove all the way back. I was at work and I was in our dump truck and I was going and dropping something off. See this beautiful curved brick wall ride. It's like this sign for this building. And I'm like, wow, I have to go check this thing out. After work, drive all the way there just to be disappointed to find out that the lettering on it is like raised up. So it's like block lettering. So there's no way to ride. You can't actually ride on it. I thought from the road it looked like it was just in the brick.
Yeah.
Which, oh man,
well, there's at least 2 really good ones right in Pittsburgh.
I know the jail one.
There's the jail one, and then right nearby there's like a 90-degree one.
That's that big one that didn't everybody ride it in the Anthem?
Yeah.
Like, they rode, I think Brian Yeagle did that. He like wall rode it and then like nose manual, or no, he just jumped over a giant dumpster there.
Yeah.
Like wall rode over it or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that spot. Okay. That's like pretty close to the jail one.
Have you rode that one?
I actually haven't. I just know it's right there.
Yeah.
I forget what I was doing. We were at the jail one, and then my friends rode the other one, and then we linked back up, and I'm like, wait a minute.
So just ride. Yeah.
I'm like, when did we all break off from one another?
Yeah.
And when did you guys go ride that one?
Yeah. I've been looking for like the Jersey barriers that like curve around a road. There's been so many of those that I've seen that I've been like, I wonder if I can just come hauling ass at that and just stick to it and go the whole way around it.
Take the berm.
Yeah, like just take it as like a giant berm.
The one coming off the Highland Park Bridge, not that that's not a huge busy road, but that is the sharpest corner I've ever seen.
And you know, it would be sick if somebody went out. My buddies have actually been doing that. It's weird you bring that up. My one friend who skates has been filming photographing people riding highway spots lately. Like busy ass highway spots that they just randomly have been driving down and find. Like, it's almost like when like when you go under like an underpass and they have like a big bank.
Yeah.
To maybe like there could even be a wall ride there.
Yeah.
Super busy highway. They just pull off, like they go out in like the middle of the night when it's like super dead at like 3 in the morning, and they go out and they just film all these crazy highway spots, which would be cool because nobody else really does that. I don't think.
Well, I think that part coming off that Highland Park Bridge to go towards the wheel mill from Highland Park Bridge is the spot for that curved wall ride you're talking about.
Are you talking like right when you get off the bridge? It's like that super sharp right you have to make.
180, yeah.
See, I don't know why I never noticed the wall there. I never noticed the
Jersey
like
barrier.
how good it would be for some reason.
Because it's almost 2 lanes deep at that spot for larger vehicles to be able to make that.
Okay.
So whenever you're taking it, you end up so far away from the wall.
Yeah, because dude, it's funny you say that because now I'm definitely gonna have to like check it out because that's the way I go to the wheel mill as well. Yeah. Because I have some friends that go through Oakland, but I always go just down 28 at Highland Park Bridge. But it probably is like the most perfect thing ever, and nobody's ever spotted it out yet. But
I only go that way when I'm coming from work.
Okay.
But normally, like obviously where I'm at here, I just take 376 into the city and drive through the ghetto.
And how bad is it to get from here to the wheel mill? How long does it usually take you to get?
20 minutes.
Okay, so it's nothing really.
No.
It takes me. I think people always get surprised whenever because I usually try to go up 3 or 4 times a week. If I come from work, it only takes me about 45 minutes, but if I come from my house, it's an hour and 5, hour and 10 minutes guaranteed every time. Just because there's really no. I live close to 65.
Okay.
I could go right down the hill and be on 65. But the problem with that is that it's so stop and go the whole way down. Red light, red light, red light, red light. Then you gotta worry if you got a headlight out, there's cops that sit the whole way down it.
Yeah.
It's easier for me to head towards Warrendale, Wexford, hop on 79 and go down. So it's kind of like a little bit of backtracking for me. So usually, it takes a good bit.
Yeah.
But I feel like people get surprised whenever I tell them I come an hour or so away almost every other day.
Yeah, and they're like, why? Where else am I going to go?
Yeah, what am I else going to sit on the couch?
You are like super close to Wedgwood.
Yeah.
Because you're probably, 40 minutes from Wedgwood, would it be?
Probably.
Or would it be more like 35?
35, maybe? 40, I would say.
Yeah, so I'm almost surprised you don't go there more.
Yeah. I think it's just because I know everybody that goes to the wheel mill. Like, it feels like a family there.
Yeah.
Like, I go in, I know everybody that works at the counter. I know everybody. I pretty much can guess who's going to be there when I go.
And since they've revamped their pricing a little bit with the passes, because they've always offered like a season pass, but converting it to monthly payments has been, I'm just going to say, a relief.
Yeah.
Because it's
not that big giant lump sum bit of money anymore.
It's tough to get $300-$400 all available at once, but to say, all right, $50 a month for the next 6 months, like,
and you can break it up and it doesn't look as bad as that giant payment, know.
And plus on their end, it's cash flow every month instead of like dry bank account.
Yeah. So
like it's got to be good on both ends there.
Yeah, instead of like October, November when everybody would normally buy their season's pass, that's when they get the most revenue and then it planes out the rest of the time.
Yeah, that looks awful.
Yeah.
On like business and everything on their book.
That's why I usually try to like I think I've completely quit really honestly buying too much online. I think I try to buy most of my stuff at the wheel mill just because I want it to be around as long as it can be so I have a place to go in the wintertime. It's been a while since I bought anything online, now that I think about it.
Videos is about the only thing I generally order off of a website.
Yeah.
And it's because where the heck else am I going to get their DVD or whatever? But I talked about it on the last podcast, which hasn't been posted yet, with Jake, but I've a lot of this equipment just for doing this, I've tried to find locally, and it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, some places don't know what you're asking for. The one item I'm specifically talking about that I talked about last time was a simple audio cable for a gaming headset.
Okay.
That I wanted to be able to run it through the speaker and speaker and microphone port on the computer, but it's a 4-prong gaming headset.
So it's just not something that people commonly...
Well, you need a splitter to convert it to the mic line and the headset line.
Okay.
And couldn't find it anywhere. Although every gaming headset at Best Buy for their PC stuff had it inside of the box. I'm like, but you literally have them.
Yeah.
And next to it, you have the one that takes the 2 separate lines and converts it to a 4-prong. You don't have the other splitter.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. Like, you're just going to have to order it off Amazon.
Yep, just got to go find it online somewhere.
So everywhere I go is telling me to order it from Amazon.
Yeah. And getting back to the thing we were talking about earlier where, like, if you don't like somebody, I won't buy it from them. Our local bike shop, I live 5 minutes away from a bike shop. If I wanted... There's been times, and I'm not even kidding you, I needed I think my seat clamp broke. And I drove all the way in Howard to the wheel mill to buy a seat clamp, and I could have drove 5 minutes down the road to get one just because I can't stand our local bike shop.
I mean, I have a bike shop right here, too. Like, you passed it on the way in.
Yeah. And I just can't.
Same deal.
You know? Like, this guy, he's one of those people where he's just in it for the money. BMX to him is just a bunch of troublemaking people, and it's just like his bread and butter is selling hybrid bikes to old people that are going to come back in 100 times to say, can you fix my brake cable?
Yeah, can you tune this up for me?
Can you tune this up for me? Or he wants that...
It's shifting funny.
That fat boy, that fat tire bike, and the mountain biker's going to come in and say, you know, I haven't lubed my chain up in 13 years. Can you lube my chain up every week for me?
Yeah.
For $60, you know? I think I got, when I was a kid, I broke like 3 or 4 spokes, and I was young, and we took it over to his shop just to get trued up. I think he charged me like $45, $50 for like the whole thing, which to me was a little bit, you know, steep for just truing a rim, you know? I don't know.
Well, these guys up here, not at that location, but at one of the other locations, I needed spokes to build new wheels. And I'm like, okay, do you have any of this length? I think like 194 or something. They're like, no, but this location cuts them. So you can get whatever length you need.
Yeah.
So I drove all the way to that location thinking that I'm going to get normal price spokes, or at least reasonable. And they're like, oh, we only cut DT Swiss spokes. They're $1.50 a piece.
Ooh.
I needed to build 2 wheels.
Ooh, wow.
I'm like 72 spokes at $1.50 a piece. Like, shoot me. No. Yeah. I'm ordering that common length.
Yeah. So. And so, like, they just find, like, some of them guys, like, it's literally just a business to them. They have no attachment to the actual...
You know what? If I only needed 1 or 2 to, like, replace spokes, I wouldn't bat an eyelash at $1.50 a spoke. That's no big deal. But to build a wheel that way, you're just selling high-end spokes, but what's the point? It's a BMX wheel.
Yeah.
But carry on.
There was a guy in Wexford. He and his brother had a shop, and he was actually a pretty good guy. I don't really think he was like too into BMX. I think he had raced when he was a kid, so his BMX selection wasn't like anything crazy. But anytime I had like something like super jacked up that I couldn't figure out with my bike, I would take it to him, and half the time he wouldn't even like charge me. Because like I would go in every now and then and buy You know, if I needed a big pack of tubes, I would go in and buy all my tubes there. Or go, if I needed a thing of wheels or tires, I would have him order it for me. So like, if I brought something in and I was stumped on it, he was one of those guys. He just couldn't feel charging me for something stupid that I just didn't realize. And he's like, oh yeah, this is what's wrong. Boom.
Yeah.
Thanks. See ya. You know, opposed to going over to Beaver to Snickers and him being like, oh well. You see, I think what's wrong here is that the whole bike exploded and you need to buy a new hybrid mountain bike that you're going to bring back here every day for a tune-up. You know? I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to ride my BMX bike.
Yeah, I don't think you're understanding.
Yeah. Like, and then I broke a brake lever.
Okay.
And he tried I was like, I just need a brake lever. And he's like, well, this one won't work. It's too long. I'm like, what do you mean? I just need a brake lever. He goes, well, the BMXers ride the short one finger cables. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, do you know anything? Like, people, it doesn't matter. No. Just give me that brake.
I don't know anyone that's bought a gold finger lever like he's talking about.
And he's like, that's what the BMXers ride.
Since I can early 2000s.
You know, and he's like, I can order one for you, and of course it's more expensive. You know, trying to get you to buy the more expensive shit. I'm like, dude, I just need a brake cable, or I just need the lever, man. Yeah. I don't care if it's short, long, big, small. Just give me something I can squeeze and it'll stop my bike. You know, I just hate when people try to belittle you like that, like you don't know what you're talking about. Like, dude, I don't care. Just give me whatever you want. You know,
you don't know what you want.
Yeah. Like, it's just, I've always rode the same, it doesn't matter to me.
The problem with that is not you. Like, you can deal with that because you know what you want. You can be like, look, man, just give me this.
Yeah.
The problem with that is families that go in there and don't know what they want. And he's pushing that same thing to them.
Yeah. And that's what he thinks. Since it works with whoever comes in, you know.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't really know or care about the BMX scene that much. Which surprises me that there's not a lot of strictly BMX shops around as well.
It's because, think about the way that companies come out with custom colorways and everything every month. Let's use just Odyssey Twisted PCs, for example. There's like a fresh new colorway on those pedals every month, if not multiple colorways.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you exist as a shop if you have to keep up on every existing colorway as it comes out?
And nobody's buying them.
And you're not selling enough of them. And as soon as the new one comes out, your stock is now obsolete.
Yeah.
And then you multiply that across more things than just Odyssey Twisted PCs.
Yeah.
It's every part and every frame. If it doesn't come in the right color, I don't want it then. I'll just order it.
Yeah.
You're like, I see what's happening, and it sucks. And I've always joked with the GrindWorks pegs, like, well, they come in black, but Krylon's pretty cheap. If you want something else, here's $3 back. Go buy a can of spray paint.
Yeah. That's, like, sometimes I wonder why some of the shops don't push both. Like, a lot of people want the mountain biking stuff. I get that, but why not push them both? Like, you're gonna get money out of it either way, in my opinion. Like, if you push the BMX thing, no matter what, you'll make money off of it. You know, like, it's not like it's not like you're not gonna ever sell a BMX bike. Like, people are gonna look at a mountain bike and go, okay, I don't want to spend $3,000, but here's a complete for $300, or you know, it's never going away. Like, BMX ain't ever going nowhere. I just think it's like maybe too saturated with.
I think it's hard for a shop that's not intimately involved already to know what brands to carry.
Yeah.
Because a shop that hasn't been paying attention, if they go stock up on Haro completes, they just threw all their money away.
Yeah.
I mean, parents might buy them, but even the parents that would have grown up on Haro at this point would have been like our parents.
Yeah.
Not us.
And that's funny you say that,
because we didn't grow up on Haro.
That's what that bike shop carries mainly, BMX wise, is Haros.
Mm-hmm. And like at this point, if you're a bike shop and you're not carrying like Kink or Cult completes or Sabrosa, you're messing up.
Yeah.
Fit. You know, if those aren't your go-tos that you're repping in your shop, and I'm going to lean towards Kink on this one because I have friends that work there, and I have friends that work at shops, and those are the best-selling completes that they get.
Yeah.
Are Kink. They're a little bit cheaper, and they're easier to move off the floor than any other completes they've had. But if you're stuck on, you know, oh, we carry only red lines, or we only carry Haro, well, I hate to tell you this, but that's not what people want. That's not what kids want.
Yeah.
And you're just at the tail end of a generation where, like, that's what the parents grew up riding. Like, when I'm going to be buying my son his bike, like, I just got him a Strider. We've got him a Strider. My buddy actually bought it for him. But,
okay.
Like, he's on a Strider. But when it comes to a bike, I mean, I'm not going to be looking at Haro.
Yeah.
Because that's not what I grew up on.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up on, like, my first bike being an FBM. So I've been on FBM, then a whole bunch of other stuff since then. But I'm going to look at current brands.
Yeah.
Although it helps that I've been involved. Like, I've never been away from it.
Yeah. So it's like, you know exactly what's the in thing, that's like me. I consider my first real BMX bike. My neighbor in 2005 bought the first complete fit bike you could have. And I had some like janky Mongoose bike, and he sold that bike to me. He sold his fit bike to me because he was kind of getting out of it. You know, he was getting older.
Yeah.
He sold his fit bike to me. So that was my first bike. So for years, just because I had always had fit bike, and my neighbor, you know, I looked up to my neighbor. He was like the coolest guy I'd ever known. I was like, I'm always going to buy fit stuff because of that. You know, I grew up with everybody in my neighborhood riding fits pretty much. Fit and Eastern, but that's a whole different topic there. But
I like Eastern.
Yeah.
I've got nothing but good things to say.
I mean,
and I know that that's odd for someone that has so many problems with so many bike parts.
Yeah.
But I've always had good luck with their stuff.
My last complete that I ever bought before I started just building my own bikes was an Eastern Mothra, and I never had any problems with it. Besides, I broke the forks on it, but
yeah, I've been riding forks.
They're complete forks, and I'd been riding them for 3 years. They've been stretched beyond their means of, you know, I'd probably cased 15,000 box jumps at that point. It was their time to go.
My only comment that I'll make about Eastern at this point is they don't do a good job marketing themselves.
No.
So, like, Cult, for example, they could have the exact same bike, branded Cult and branded Eastern. Cult is going to hype everything up, market the crap out of it. Kids are going to break it, and Cult's going to keep hyping themselves, and it's just going to get brushed under the rug that all these parts are breaking.
Yeah.
Eastern just doesn't do a good job of marketing themselves. I don't know if it comes down to team or the people putting hype behind it. But like,
didn't they have a deal at one point? Weren't they? I want to say they were like, they had their bikes in like a big time place at some time. Like, I don't want to say like Walmart or Target, but I want to say like they had like maybe a deal with Dance Comp or something or somebody. I thought because for a long time, everybody I knew had one. Like every complete ever was a Eastern. I could see.
They were readily available for a long time, yeah. But I think the complete thing for all these different companies, completes are what make or break them.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do a good job hyping yourself and keeping yourself relevant, the all the parts that are breaking are just going to get talked about and not swept under the rug.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what happened to them for a while.
Yeah.
And you know, they've always been good to me. I like their parts. I've run their parts. They might have my favorite cassette hub I've ever ridden.
Really? Which one is that?
The birectional.
Okay. My buddy had that. He had a complete that came with it on the rims.
Yeah. The aftermarket one, I don't know if it was any different than the one that came on the complete, but
okay.
I loved that hub.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Wasn't that one of the first ones that was like you could flip?
Yeah.
To side to side?
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually, instead of having like the tapered teeth where they come to a sharp point, it was square inside the driver.
Really?
Or inside the mechanism. The driver just locked in.
Okay.
And it was really good.
See, I never rode any aftermarket Eastern stuff, I don't think. I'm pretty sure I've had 2 complete Easterns in my life. And like I said, pretty minimal problems out of them.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, they're completes are their own thing. They're completes.
They're meant to get you into BMX. They're not meant to last forever. They're meant to, you know, get you in. It's your cheap way into BMX. It gets you riding, and then it hopefully gets you to the point where you love it so much that after you destroy the whole complete bike, that you go back to that company and say, okay, I don't want the complete anymore. I know I'm not going anywhere in BMX. This is my hobby now.
Yeah.
Give me what the best you got is now.
Well, and a lot of the shops, I feel like, should probably do a better job of explaining that on the front end too. Like, look at, this is a complete bike. You're going to pay this much up front for it. In the next year or two, you will be upgrading forks, you will be upgrading cranks, you will be upgrading bars.
Yeah.
And there's just no way around it. You're going to have to do it.
Yeah.
After you've done that, you might want to consider buying a new frame.
Yeah.
Like, all of these parts are meant to get you in, and I don't feel like they do a good job of explaining that.
Yeah. And it's like, another thing is that some kid, there might be, you take 5 kids, they all get into BMX at the same time. 2 of them might not ever put that complete under any stress to the point where it could last them forever the way they ride it.
Yep.
And then you could have the other 2 or 3 kids that progress very quickly and within a year have completely just mangled the bike. And I think that screws up with people too, because somebody will be like, well, my son had that bike and it was fine. And then the other person will be like, oh, well, my son had that bike and it's destroyed. And nobody realizes that, like, the level of riding that you're putting your bike through is also the giant factor of whether something's going to last or not. You could have the best parts in the world. If you're hucking down a giant staircase all the time and that's your type of riding, you're going to be replacing stuff.
Yeah, it's just not going to keep working for you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've seen in that all the time. And there's nothing you can do about it, too. And it's tough with parents, though, because they don't see what their kids are doing with these bikes a lot of the time.
A lot of the time they get dropped off at the skate park and the parents go get food or something, and when they come back and they're like, how did I spend $350 on this complete and all the spokes are broke out of it? Well, he was trying to grind the end of a rail, slipped off and ripped this whole back axle out, you know? Like,
stuff happens.
Yeah.
Or, you know, he landed flat over the second box at the wheel mill. Like, his fork is laid out because he landed flat.
Yeah, it's just like driving your car. You hit a giant pothole and you bend your rim up on your car. You know, it's the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
People just don't look at it that way, I guess.
It you know, again, it's kind of the same as what we were talking about earlier. People that are in it and people that aren't.
Yeah.
if you don't see what's happening and understand what's happening, you know, if they don't see your kid doing backflips, they're like, how could you break apart?
Yeah. I've let kids ride my bike at skate parks, and within 2 minutes I realized it was a bad idea, because you just see them trying to hop around on it, and they're like hopping. Like the thing that like cringes me the most is like whenever somebody would like hop on my bike, and like at the skate park there's like in between the mini and the ground of the mini, somebody tries to hop on it and they don't make it, and they just smash your back tire into the
the right on the edge.
Right onto the sheet metal edge, and it makes me cringe so many times, because I'm just like, oh man, I shouldn't have let them ride that, but I seem like a dick if I don't, you know. I'm just like, whatever, you know. To me, a bike's a bike.
I don't let anyone ride my bike.
Yeah.
But it's not about that. It's because you let one kid and then everyone wants to do it. And then you end up in a sketchy part of town and you're like, no. Like, it's just easier to say, I don't let anyone ride my bike.
Yeah. It's mainly just at my local, and like if there's just like 2 or 3 kids there, and if they seem like an alright kid, you know, then I'm like,
there's always other times and reasons for whatever, but
you know, if some kid comes up to me and he's just all ghetto and talking, just you can just tell. I'll be like, nah, man, I don't want you to ride my bike. But
don't want anyone riding my bike.
I let you ride my bike one time.
I probably broke it.
No, you didn't. You wanted to ride it because you didn't have brakes on, and you wanted to try.
Oh yeah, I was doing the Pivot 540.
You were doing that Pivot 540, and it looked so sweet.
They're fun.
And I couldn't do that to save my life. But
I need brakes. I have a frame right over here that has brake mounts on it. It's my old one.
Dude, gotta put some brakes on.
That whole bike is
my old one. I'm surprised you don't
ride
ride brakes.
That's my whole old bike. That's my frame. All those parts are going on that.
Okay. I'm so like with your style, because like you like doing all those like super techie jibby stuff. I'm surprised you don't ride brakes more.
You know, I do when I ride trails, but the only thing I like having brakes for is Abubakas.
Yeah.
And I hate having them for bar spins and
that's
anything like that.
A pain in the ass for sure.
So, like, I learned them with brakes, but then I've ridden brakeless for so long that to put them back on, I just hate it.
I rode brakeless for
and I feel like the trade-off of Abubakas being fun is only cool for like an afternoon, and then I'm like, all right, please take these back off.
Yeah, because it like takes away more than what you gain from it.
Yeah, the gain is minimal.
Yeah. See, the only tricks that I've lost from putting my brakes back on, I was doing the like air to fakies, and I was doing like a lot of like bar to fakie and tuck no hander to fakie. If I would try to tuck to fakie on a big quarter pipe, every time I accidentally grab my brake, and when I land, I just instantly smash my head. Yeah. Same with the bar spins. They're good for whenever I do bar to taps, because I've gotten good enough where I bar and I instantly grab the brake. So like when I land, I'm tapped, the brake's grabbed, everything's good. But like on a straight bar spin over a box jump, I've lost the confidence that I once had to do a big bar spin, to accidentally just grab the whole brake handle and just completely die at the end, you know. So in that aspect, I've lost. Like I don't do tucks over box jumps as much. Yeah. Like I don't really take my hands off as much now with the brakes, but I feel like I've gained a lot more control over like some of the transfers I would do. Because I noticed whenever I was not riding with the brakes, if I tried to do a transfer and I couldn't cut one way or another, I would end up like dying over the edge of something. Yeah. Or if I couldn't turn fast enough, you know, I would smack into the face of something else. But with the brakes, I can land and have that control to get turned around the right way, you know, whenever I'm like crossing through lines and stuff. So I don't know. I don't see me taking them off. Maybe like if I do an edit, maybe I'll just like take the brake lever off and just like tape it to the frame for a minute. I don't know.
I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
Brakes are cool.
Also, it would be kind of funny if somebody noticed that too. If I like took the brake lever off just for like one trick specifically in an edit, and people like notice it like tucked underneath
still
or something,
there.
you know, be like, "Do you have to take your brakes off for that?" Yeah, I did.
Totally. But yeah, I'm gonna end up putting that whole thing together and have a bike with brakes on it. The reason I grabbed that frame from up home was so that I could ride trails again, possibly.
Okay.
I'm like right here in Monroeville.
Yep. I've been there one time, but I was young and I didn't pay attention for shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to give away their location, but like,
I'll
is
tell
it
you
generally?
offline generally where they are.
Okay.
I'm not
fair enough.
Not blowing it up on here.
Yeah, true. I don't know what I was thinking on that one, but
well, I mean, fair enough question to ask.
Yeah.
But
no, sometimes I forget that we're being recorded right now. I've been there one time, and I didn't have my bike. We just stumbled upon them. We actually found them on Google Earth.
Yeah.
Like, we were just scrolling through. We're like, I know they got to be somewhere around here.
Yeah. You can. It's not super easy, but if you know, you can find them there.
Yeah. And I think we just kind of knew the general idea where to look.
Yeah.
And we just seen a field with like a path in it. We're like, it's gotta be this. And as soon as we popped in there, it was there.
Yeah.
And then my friends had gone back once before and watched like Tim and Chris and Eric and all them guys ride. But Tim's invited me out a bunch of times, and I feel bad because I just, in the summertime, I got so much stuff going on.
It's not super convenient to your part of town. Like,
yeah.
It
took me an hour to get out here.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard after a day of work wanting to make that commitment to come all the way back out. You know, whenever I could just go hit.
When it's
everything.
It's 2 hours worth of driving for you at that point that you got to write into your day.
Yeah. And especially like you don't know, because like I could drive all the way up here and it rain.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like after the summer we just had. Drive all the way up.
Yeah, that was kind of a weird summer because it could be perfectly nice over here in Monroeville and just be absolutely downpouring over at Imperial.
And that happens at my local skate park more than anywhere else. It's just far enough north, and it's just in this weird valley enough that the rain always hits there. I don't know if it's the big valley that like just domes everything in, but I'll go there, ride for 20 minutes, it'll pour down rain. I'll go 3 miles down the street and everything's dry. And it drives me nuts. And it'll be like the sun will be like popping out.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, well, it looks like I'm going to Imperial or the Wheel Mill today, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That just happened the other day on that 60-degree day.
There in the first place.
Yeah. That 60-degree day we just had, like last week.
Yep.
I was like, get outside, you know? Haven't rode outside in a while. Go to Brady's Run, within 20 minutes, it's soaking wet.
Yeah, 60-degree day. What a nice time.
Yep.
Now it's like, it was 28 when I pulled in. And it probably had an inch of snow on the ground.
Yeah.
Did you say?
I would say so.
And then we've been talking for, I'm going to guess, 2.5 hours or so.
Yeah.
So, on that note, there's probably like 3 inches out there.
Yeah, it's probably I think the maximum they said tonight was 3 to 4, so it's probably, my luck, it's probably 5.
We should probably consider wrapping.
Yeah.
Just because you've got a nice hour drive that could take 2 hours or more to get home.
I told you to stop me, dude, because I'll just ramble on forever.
That's fine. I'm just guessing that it's been that long.
Yeah.
I can tell
I've been getting text messages from my girlfriend, I probably wondering.
2 hours, 48 minutes as of right now.
Holy shit.
So, this is the longest podcast we've had yet.
God damn.
By almost a full hour.
Jesus Christ. We're just going to cut it in half and just act
whatever.
If I had a heart attack in the middle of it and say I had to leave or something.
If people are stoked, they're stoked. If they're not, I frankly don't care anyway.
Yeah. I don't really care either.
Whatever. But, yeah, I feel like, there's no point in continuing talking right now when you should probably consider hitting the road. And
thanks for having me out the bullshit for 5.5 hours.
I have to leave in 7 hours.
Yeah, that's probably a good reason to wrap it all up. So, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for coming out. Drop your socials, whatever you want people to follow, hit you up
So, if you've made it this long to the 5 hour and a half mark, you can follow me at jsteezyher on everything. That's all my Instagrams and Twitters and all that BS. So
sweet. And then ATS.
You can follow All Things Shred. There, I post like once every 2 years on there. So if you want to check that out, there's a whole bunch of cool content that I used to make. So you can check that out as well. So. And
then just keep up on his current stuff on Jay Steezier, because if he does end up doing anything with Hilltop or whatever you decide to start calling,
it'll probably be
your
on
new
there
project.
First, or I'll just try to maybe use All Things Shred's Instagram as the new one. I don't know if you can possibly do that.
Yeah, you can just change the name of it.
Exactly. I think that's what I'll do. So if you just see All Things Shred change the Hilltop real fast, you'll know what happened. But, all right, man.
Sounds like a good plan.
Thanks
all right.
A lot.
Well, thanks for watching. I'm gonna do the super douchey thing of like and follow and subscribe
to GrindWorks.
Yeah, and if you don't already follow the Instagram, that's our real primary social media. We have a Twitter, but Twitter sucks.
It does. There's nothing good on there.
All it does is repost the stuff I post elsewhere.
Yeah.
Facebook's alright. Sometimes I put unique stuff there. This is on the YouTube channel, and then we have a Mixer account that we kind of use. Mostly it's just game streaming at the moment, but still debating on doing some of these live. So you might want to hit that up too. GrindWorks _BMX on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat if you're feeling like blowing up my phone with your girlfriend or something.
Yeah.
Or probably just your dick, but whatever. I don't care.
Either one's fine.
Yeah. Everything's welcome here. Then no _, so just GrindWorks BMX on Facebook, Mixer, YouTube, and I don't remember what else because I suck at this.
Vimeo.
No, Vimeo's actually under my personal.
Oh.
That's where all the jam videos and stuff are, because YouTube would kick them off for songs. I tried posting them on there years ago.
Yeah.
But whatever. Vimeo's cooler. YouTube has a whole bunch of following, so I gotta go with that.
Yeah.
Alright, thanks for
man.
suffering through this.
I don't know, dude. There was no suffering at all.